dreams collide. High road roaring every night. Spotlight on Spurs, feel the fight. Spotlight on Spurs, hearts ablaze through the cheers and cloudy days. From the lane to glory's flight. Spotlight on Spurs, shine so bright. Echoes rise when we take the field. This is passion, nothing concealed. Through the tackles, joy ignites. Spotlight on Spurs, burning lights. Feel the tempo, sweet and wild. London's warriors never mild. Every challenge we endure. Spotlight on Spurs, loud and pure.
What's up, guys? Luke here from Spotlight on Spurs. Today we had the Champions League draw, so we had to make sure we had a Champions League panel to start talking through it, talking opponents, talking transfers, and the big question, whether Spurs are letting down Frank. We've got two debutants on the channel today, so big up Ben for coming on. Thank you, sir. How are you doing?
I'm very good, mate. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad, especially if we can get a few of the transfers through the door and
Be nice.
give Frank a little bit of a helping hand after a good start. Dave from Irish Hotspur, thank you again for coming on, mate. How we doing?
No, I appreciate it. You've reached out to me a few times. Look, you know, I was busy with family stuff and that, but delighted I can finally make it. Thanks for having me, man.
Thanks a lot. And then returning, one of the first people on the channel, I think. First person on the channel, George.
I think I'm out.
The first one, the first show. How we doing, sir?
No, it's good to be back. You know, finally been called up since my first show. So clearly, my first appearance wasn't good enough, but but wait for everything. Make sure you boys smash the likes on your way in, man. Let's show Luke some support, and yeah, man, good to have me on.
Appreciate that. You've always got the call up, mate. You just need to let me know you've always got that call up. Don't worry about it. And then Dan, massive thank you again for coming on, sir. How we doing?
Yeah, cheers for having me on. At the moment, if you want to put it to a transfer window, same Spurs, different day. I think that's my saying on here.
I was waiting. I wondered how long it would take, and we're 2 minutes in and we've already got it. It's lovely to see. So, as I said in the intro there, guys, we obviously started Champions League draw today. We drew a few opponents that were also in the Europa League as well. What's everyone's initial kind of thoughts on the draw? There were some easier teams in there, some difficult ones. Happy with what we've drawn? Was you expecting that sort of level? Was you expecting lower, better? What's the sort of feelings that we got going on?
We dodged a bullet, I'd say, maybe a little bit. I mean, look, it's favourable. It's a very nice draw. I just feel like, yeah, we got very, very lucky. And I think considering the last few weeks, we could do with a little bit of luck, couldn't we, really?
Yeah, I mean, obviously PSG away, wasn't it? PSG away is the biggie. Dortmund brings back some good memories from the last time we was in the Champions League. We've had some good games against them. But yeah, there's definitely a couple of the easier teams in there. I mean, we beat them in the Europa League, so we should definitely be getting quite a few points.
No, looking at it, I'd say that this because before, I don't know about you guys, going into the Champions League draw, I was already thought like, yeah, we just need to think about how we're going to get into the playoff rounds. I didn't even worry about the top 8 at first. I think the top 8, we're not going there. But with the draw that we've got, top 8 is very achievable now, very favourable. So I'm more than happy with it.
You see, with that there, I expect 3, 6, 9, 12, at least 15 points. Yeah. At least. We should be walking into that top 8. Now, I know nothing's easy, whatever else. Dortmund, they're not the Dortmund they were 2, 3, 4 years ago. Going to be a tricky game, always is. Paris, if they wipe the floor of us, we can handle that. Villarreal, we should be able to deal with them. Frankfurt, we've dealt with them. Slava Prague should be able to deal with them. Bodo Glimt, deal with them. Even Copenhagen should be able to deal with them. Monaco is going to be a very tricky game. For that, we should be in that top 8. If we ain't in that top 8, then something's definitely being done wrong. That's a gift. There's one team there that we should be scared of as such. The rest of them, we got the capability, depending on injuries.
Yeah, definitely. Go on.
I sort of agree with Dan. I think it's a favourable draw. If you would have asked me beforehand, teams, I would have took Frankfurt away. I would have took Copenhagen. I would have took Bodo again. I would have took Sparta or Prague. I would have took them all out of the draw. I think we've got a very favourable draw, and I agree with Dan. I think the opportunity is there for us to finish comfortably inside that top 8. My only where my doubt comes in a little bit is two things, and this isn't a major doubt. This is just something it's not tried and tested. I'm just waiting for answers. Is how quickly can Thomas Frank and his coaching staff turn around their game plans for the opposition with Europe thrown in the middle, and how well are the team going to be able to adapt it? Because right now, with a week on the training pitch, it's working. But when you've that little bit of so much little turnaround, I just wonder how effective is it going to be. Wait and see. But I back them to be able to do it. Second of all, is Thomas Frank isn't even. It's just a squad depth. In order to be able to maintain these games, you're probably going to end up putting out weakened squads in the Premier League. You're probably going to take some hits in some of them games. And that's not even down to Thomas Frank. And that's not choosing or throwing games. That's just right now, as it stands, we do not have the squad depth. You're only 1 or 2 injuries away from being back in the season or last season in terms of managing the heavy fixture schedule. So that's one of my major concerns. But I would expect Thomas Frank to prioritise the Champions League games, get the top out, finish out of the way, rotate for the Premier League games, and then reassess it then come January, February.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, obviously, with the amount of games that we're going to have coming up, that was been one of my concerns before Frank was kind of appointed, was that we kept saying it, and we said it Ange's first season, is when you've got a full week to prepare, there's a very different sort of dynamic to having 2-3 days, and then obviously the level of opposition is so high most of the time in the Champions League. So I completely agree. It will be interesting to see. Also with the injuries, obviously there's a lot of players in our squad that we can kind of say they're injury prone, if you like. They play 1 week, they miss another. And it was a point that was brought to me about Frank as well, in terms of like, if he's got a player out that's ruled out for a month, he misses 4 games, whereas at Spurs now he's going to miss 8. So it's another thing, because we're playing games so often, it's another thing that we don't know how he's going to react. It's not necessarily a negative, because he might react in a great way, but it's definitely a question mark that we need to have. And when you obviously look at the kind of level of opposition that we're playing against, as I said, we're hoping that it will be a higher level. So I think it'd be really, really interesting to see, particularly in the sort of away legs. PSG is obviously the one that's the elite level, but it'd be really interesting to see Bodo away, Monaco away. It'll be really interesting to see how we kind of adopt to that. Obviously, I think a lot of people for City, for instance, thought we'd go to a 5 at the back, and we ended up not doing that. So it's again another part of this sort of us getting to know the manager getting to know the players. We're not 100% sure where things are kind of going down.
What I will say, just quickly, Luke, is with the draw, there's a bit of familiarity there as well. It's not like we don't really know what we're facing. Like Frankfurt away, we've been there, we've done it. Bodo Glimt away, been there, we've done it. PSG, we gave a good run to already. So there's a bit of familiarity with what we're coming up against as well, which I think works in our favour as well.
Yeah, no, again, I completely agree. I definitely think that if we was to have picked the teams that we wanted in the draw, then I think a lot of us wouldn't be too far off of what we've sort of got. I think Dortmund, as you said, Dortmund at home, particularly if that was an away leg, a Dortmund away and a Paris Saint-Germain at home, it's completely different, because PSG are going to be hard regardless. So I completely agree. I think there's definitely chances here as well where we don't have to. We should be going full strength, but if for any reason there's a player that's ruled out, or there's an injury, or there's a little bit, these are not teams where you're going to be massively, or you should be massively struggling, because some of these teams we should be beating even with 1 or 2 changes. But I think it's good to point out, and we will kind of go on to it in a little while. I think that's something that as fans we need to really think about, is that obviously you've got 2 big signings that have kind of come through the door, one being loan, but the permanent signing on the right wing. Now, if we get a couple of injuries, we're already back and we'll be in a worse state than we was last season, because Maddison and Son are obviously not going to be around. Kulusevski's not going to be around. So I think we need to, what I wanted to do, just normally, obviously, a lot of what we talk about is all Spurs related, and this is in a way, but I just wanted to get everyone's opinions on what the rivals have been doing, what Newcastle's, what Villa's, even the top four have been doing, because I think that's another part of this, is that we felt that we was going to have to go into this and have a really strong window to try and get up and close to them levels, but some of the windows that these other teams are having are just absolutely ridiculous. And obviously the news tonight is that Newcastle have just made the signing from Germany, who it looked like Bayern Munich were going in for. It looks like it's 80 odd million euros, I think. So that looks to be Isak's replacement. So does that mean Isak then goes Liverpool? So that means they've now got probably 6 first-team players that they've strengthened. What's everyone's thoughts on the business that the kind of top 6, top 7 have done? And does it mean that from last season to this year, are we further behind most of these teams than we was a few months ago?
I think in this one, I'm going to try what I try and do, and that's looking at it from both sides, yeah? Now, one of the main things I've always complained about with Spurs is that we buy quantity over quality. Yep. And the 2 players that we have brought in, you can't say aren't quality. Kudus had a terrible season last year, but we've all seen that he gives us that strength on there. Because the one problem at Spurs we've had always is like we're always playing with boys on the pitch, or people that you just wouldn't even be bothered about if you barged into them, basically. And Paulinho, another one who's got physicality on him, knows how to do it. Okay, bit of an injury-prone season last year, but I think that was a very smart thing to loan him as such. Because of that, even I'd have quite happily bought him. And we've actually got a little bit of muscle in there now. And getting Danzo as well, I think that's a good buy. Tell, what a waste of space at this moment in time. He might get better, but I can only judge by what I've seen. Then you want to look on the other side. We should have at least had another player in there. That Eze deal should have got done 2-3 weeks earlier. That was Levy pissballing about again, as he does. And personally, I think that cost us. I don't think Arsenal was going to go in for him until they had the Havertz injury. They might have, they might not, but I'm only going by the way I see it. Eze, that should have been done and dusted. We could have had that one. We need to make at least another one big signing. Because one thing we do have is lack of depth and lack of quality up front.
I mean, do you know what? To be brutally honest with you, I look at our business that's been done so far. If you take off your desperate Spurs fan hat, which I am trying to do here, and you look at our window as a whole, realistically, we have plugged 2, like you say, Dan, we've plugged 2 massive gaps that we've been missing. We got our number 6 that we've not had for years and years and years, and we brought in a creative winger. Again, something we just haven't had at Spurs for a while. But I mean, I suppose you could turn around and say that that's actually not a terrible window if, and only if, Kulusevski and Maddison weren't injured. I feel like because of that fact, we're panicking even more. I know we need, more players in. I understand that. I really do. But at the same time, if you look at what we have brought in, it's not terrible. And again, I'm not advocating for Levy here at all. I just think we did plug 2 major gaps. But as for rivals, what they're doing at the minute, Luke, it's not even rivals, mate. Look at Sunderland, 160 million spent, 160 million, and they've just come into the league. It don't make no sense. But yeah, I mean, you'd like to think with our revenue stream, we'd be able to keep up with the top 6. Like your Villas and all that. To me, boys, it doesn't make a shred of sense that we can't. I mean, yeah, blows my mind.
I know what you're saying in terms of the level of play. 100%, I completely agree. But what you need to look at it as a whole. So I don't think anyone, like for instance, for me, this window's like 4, maybe 5 because of injuries and things like that. But that doesn't mean that the signings are not good enough. It just means that there's not enough, or it's in places that do you know what I mean? So it's not that I don't think anyone's doing, Dan, the level of the signing. I know there has been I don't know why, but there's been quite a lot of, I think it's emotional thing about Takai and kind of over the top about him. And it's like, it's 5 million quid. Like if this was a 25 million pound signing, then yeah, maybe you could sit there and be like, why have we done that? But he's just a kid. Tell is obviously slightly different, but the other 2, they've been brought in. They're a good, solid players that are improved the 11. But overall, we need so much more, especially when you look at the kind of attacking options. And as it's already been mentioned a couple of times, is that 1 injury, 2 injuries, and Palhinha did get a few injuries last year. It's not beyond the realms of possibility that Spurs pick up more injuries. Solanke didn't miss a game all Premier League season when he played for Bournemouth. In his second game for Spurs, he's injured. So it's like we've got to expect this. So therefore, we need to make sure we put ourselves in a situation.
But at the same time, Luke,
it's not an
was
excuse.
we not told all season that Ange was the reason for a lot of those injuries? So we would expect
I
that
was.
the injuries. we was both told, because I was Ange at one point as well. And the one thing that we were constantly told was that Ange was the issue. So I would expect that, with that being in mind, that there's the injury issues drop at least 50%. Like, we shouldn't have nowhere near as many injuries as we had last year. And even with that in mind, there were so many teams that had more injuries than us last year and still managed to cope. We could just sit there and say that and acknowledge, the bad coaching and so on. But that's another point. When you talk about how far we are behind our rivals, we are extremely far behind our rivals. Like, when you talk about the quality of the first 11, yes, we could probably beat a lot of teams in a one-off game. But it's the performance across the season where a lot of us are going to worry, because we know that with the players we've got, how consistently do they perform? A lot of them under a new manager have looked good for 10 or so games and then flail off. So for me, the worry starts to come in match week 15, is if these players are still going to perform the same way they're performing at this moment in time. You can look at Chelsea's transfer window. It's as much as, some people can laugh at the players they've got. They've signed literally about 6 attackers. So they've put themselves in a position where they're not going to have the same attacking issue as last year. They've solved, if they haven't solved the problem, they've more than tried to. We had an attacking problem last year, and we've signed 1 attacker at this point. So that already can tell you how far behind we are from our rivals, because Arsenal have gone out there, got the striker that they needed. We can already see how much goals they're going to get. You've got Manchester City, who, they've signed a lot of new attackers, but the quality, Danny spoke about us going for quantity. The quality of the players from City are just different level. Different.
Yeah.
So we can't even compete with that. And then obviously Liverpool's Liverpool. We don't even want to talk about Liverpool because they're so far ahead of us, yeah. So when you try to gauge the teams that we actually are in and around squad-wise, I can even look around and say, if Newcastle get Volta-Maida, a very good player, it's going to be a dangerous signing for them. And I'm not being funny, their first 11 is already so strong that Eddie Howe's a good manager. They're going to figure things out. That's the team we need to worry about. Then you can look at Villa. Villa haven't started off the season great. And I'd probably say that their window's been a bit poor. But not the Forest are creeping up. I know European football could, it's probably going to affect them, but they made very good signings. They're still out there in the window making more signings. I think generally the issue for us is the lack of depth that we have, and that we're going to have to rely on a lot of players playing 2 games a week. And that's where my issue is, really.
Which is a crazy point when you consider that for the last 3 transfer windows, all we've been doing is buying squad players. And now we're sitting here saying that the squad isn't good enough. Like, it just goes to prove, and someone put it in the chat just now, it's not just about going to spend big money, because Man United have done that. It's not really, doesn't seem to be working out for them just yet. So I think that's part of the key here, is that our recruitment for a long time has just not been good enough. And as I said, I've been saying it for a while, that the free transfer windows, when you only get 1 player through the door that's supposed to come in and improve that 11, then we're already behind. Before the season's even kicked off, we was already behind last year. And then now everyone else has gone in. How many windows is there where clubs make 3-4 first team, like first 11 signings? And at this one season when we need to really kick on, everyone goes out, and Liverpool going to get a title winning team and get 6 first team players. It's unprecedented this summer.
But for me, that's why I have a huge problem with this summer transfer window. When everyone else was using the small window at the start to make marquee signings, we were pissing about sacking the manager and deciding who we want to bring in. Then for another week, we were deciding what coaching staff we wanted to bring in from Brentford and what we were going to allow Frank to have, and then we used the excuse of we need to let him sit back, assess the squad, even though when they interviewed Frank, he would have told them exactly where he needs strengthening in the first place and stuff like that. So I don't buy that. And it's just been one big delay this summer transfer window. We finished 17th in the league last season. Now, don't get me wrong. I think we'll finish a lot higher this season. I think, look, Frank, to be fair, he's come in, he's steadied the ship defensively. He's bringing in Paulini, was absolutely huge in that midfield, bringing in that presence and having that ball winner. We've got a good solid base to work off. So, and also I'd argue bar some of the top teams that we're trying to chase, I think a lot of the other Premier League teams have been picked off of their star quality, and I think that will also work in our favour this year. Like, so Wolves don't have Cunha to rely on anymore, and Brighton don't have João Pedro to rely on anymore, and stuff like that. So teams that maybe finished above us last season, they've all been picked off, so that's worked out in our favour. But that will work out in our favour because what other clubs have done, not what we have done. Look, don't get me wrong, the two signings we've made, Kudus and Paulinho, absolutely brilliant signings. But the reality is, like, why can't we deliver these most summers then? Most other top teams do, but, these are very few and far in between. And coming into this summer, we needed 4 or 5 quality signings walking in. So, and you bring in signings that walk into your first team, automatically the players in your first team then become your backup, and that's how you build your squad depth. But what we do is, like, for instance, we could say, like, I don't want to hammer on the signing of Takai. At the end of the day, when we've lost deals because of 5 million in the past, 5 million is absolutely everything to Tottenham fans, and we shouldn't be pissing that money about. We were sitting there, trying to throw in different clauses for the Eze deal. I mean, that 5 million, you could have just added on. Sweet at Palace, there you are. We'll pay above the odds. Let's get this deal done nicely. We didn't. We lost out on Eze because we're haggling all the time. Morgan Gibbs-White, again, lost out. Daniel Levy is being levied and being played at his own games by other chairmans that he's took advantage of in the Premier League. And now it's coming back to bite him. And at the end of the day, we're sitting here now in a position that no one wants to be in, where we are sitting here with not a lot of quality left on the market that's going to walk in and impact this first team. And we're out there still punting around trying to see what we can get over the line. It's absolutely ridiculous. There was a massive urgency after finishing 17th last season to really up the quality of this squad. And they've brought in Frank. And look, I had my issues with Frank coming in, but, given evidence, I'm warming to the guy and I'm warming to what I'm seeing. But at the end of the day, I've always said this, I don't believe Tottenham hire bad managers. I think Tottenham hire good managers, but we never do enough in the transfer market to really help them kick on and go and win games consecutively and consistently. And that's where a lot of these managers end up falling by the wayside because of what we don't do in the summer. Yeah, we brought in Kudus and Paulinho. We still haven't sorted out. All we've done this season is move the problem of Brennan Johnson from the right to the left, so we still have that problem. We're still sitting here waiting for a number 10, and it's clear Frank told him he wants a number 10 because we've tried to bring in Eze and Morgan Gibbs-White this summer. We're still sitting here waiting for another fullback to come in so we can have 4 fullbacks to pick from and not just 3. It's an absolute shambles of a window for me, let alone the players we haven't got rid of that we've been trying to sell. It's been an absolute shambolic window, in my opinion, in terms of ambition. You got to remember, this guy came out in an interview and said, I want to win the Premier League and I want to win the Champions League. Does this window stink of ambition? I'm sorry. It may not work out for Man United, but they've shown more ambition to try and fix their problems this summer than what we have. And at the end of the day, what you're seeing is all these other clubs, yeah, we've signed 2 and we can sit here and rant and rave about it. Chelsea have signed 4 or 5. Liverpool have signed 4 or 5. Man City have signed 4 or 5. Quality players, and they're just upping the level and bridging that gap even further. It's been an absolute shambolic window in terms of, forget about other teams, but in terms of what Tottenham Hotspur needed to do. And once again, we'll put Frank in a position where he'll end up getting 2 fullbacks injured, and he's going to have to get a centre-back to try and play out there or a CDM to try and play out there, and it'll come back and bite us. And I'm absolutely fed up with it. I'm sick of it. The transfer windows are shambolic. Like, all summer long, we've had about 99 names linked to Tottenham Hotspur, and we've got 2 in the door. It's absolutely shambolic.
The only thing I would say about the Takai signing, I don't think that we missed out because we spent that 5 million on Takai. I think that if we didn't spend that 5 million on Takai, we still would have been arguing over the same pennies. So I don't think it's necessarily the money that's been spent. I think it's more that is the way that we seem to operate. Is that if it strikes me that if we went, do you know what, we fancy this player, we think he's worth 60, and we went to the club and they went 55. I have a feeling we go 50 instead of just going, actually we value him at that. And so I know what you're saying, but I also think that we have sat there and in the past gone, how the hell have Brighton gone and got Matoma? Where the hell has he come from? And then we go and it's just ironic that that they're both from Asia. But
I get what you're saying, but that's only going to bring Brighton so far. That's only going to stabilize them where they are. In order for them to really kick on and compete, which is what we want to do as Tottenham fans, we don't want to be Brighton. We want to go and compete. They're going to have to start upping the quality of their signings. Yeah. And so that's brought them so far. But at the end of the day, we should be in the window. 4 players that are coming into game change, but also signings for the future. But the problem is, you know, you go back to last summer, for instance, we signed more players for the future and brought in one for the here and now. You know, and that's where the problem lies. We take too many gambles and too many punts.
It's the perfect what you said there, Dave, because I think the problem with Spurs is we always go all the way one way. It's not like you need a balance of young players and experienced players in the squad. Like when we're signing right now, we should be signing players that can pair up with a younger player. So when this younger player is ready to come into the team, they've got someone to look up to who's a bit more experienced that they can, you know, learn from. The problem with our squad has been is that we get, like you said, last year we signed Odegaard. This year we've signed Tel, we've signed Yamin Hyuk, we've signed more young wingers. Yeah, we've got Kudus now, who's 25, but he's now and away from Johnson, he's now our only senior winger like that. So when we're going out there and, you know, we've been linked to some of these younger players, to me, it just doesn't make no sense. I get what you're saying, Luke, but the difference between us and Brighton is we will sign that young player, that Mitoma type, and they're not going to play for us. They're going to sit on the bench. They're going to train. And if they're like so good in training, they might eventually get that chance. But they're not actually going to get enough chances on the pitch. And they're not going to be given that time to grow for them to become that player so quickly.
I totally agree with you on what you've just said there, yeah. And this is one thing I find a problem in the Spurs community. Again, purely opinion, yeah. A lot of Spurs supporters go on about the young player. Give them a chance. Give them a chance. Yes, they need to. Yeah, get them out on loan like a normal club does. When you go and get someone like Takai for 5 million, no problem. Yeah, 5 million. When you go and get Bergvall for 8 million, no problem. When you go and totally spunk 40 million up on the wall on a bloody Archie Gray, who who's never even played in top football, you know, he'd never even touched the Premier League or nothing, and then blatantly had to be put into positions because we had nothing there.
Yeah,
and then he's about what was he, 6th or 7th pick for midfield, and then every time he did finally play his position, he got absolutely destroyed. Yeah. When we go and do stuff like that, I mean, for me, I know people say I'm being harsh, he's 18, 19. I don't care. 40 million, that was a complete waste of money that could have been spent on a player that was ready now. Me and Sava went through about 5 or 6 players that have gone in Italy and other places and that for the same money on less wages than him. The only reason he even saw games last season is because we were so injured. And another one, Tel, that's added up to, what is it? We just spent 45 on him and 10 million on loan. So that works out about 55 million for him. So that basically means we sold Harry Kane for 45 million and Tel. Yeah. Why are we going and getting players like that when they aren't even good? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Archie Gray isn't even good enough for the squad, let alone the first 11. Do you want to see an Archie Gray or a Tel come on when we're playing Real Madrid or when we're playing Inter Milan or when we're playing even bloody Dortmund? No, we need players there that are ready to play football now. And I think that is one big problem we've had.
That is one big problem because, like, you know, as much Hart and Bergvall and Gray, Udebur, you know, showed last season, they had moments, but they weren't good enough consistently to put points on the board. And the problem is we're so bare thread as 11. They're the next guys in. And ultimately, they're shouldering the expectations of every Spurs fans. And they're just being judged as senior professionals because they're the ones we're relying on. And it's not fair on them. The club are putting them in a position. Ideally, you want to have a strong panel of about 18 proper players, and then you can supplement the rest with youngsters, and then you dip them in, you dip them out, you give them chances to shine amongst senior pros rather than putting them all out there together as one team and go, right, go and compete with the best teams in the world, you know, and go and get us results. And that's our big problem. We went too far down one route to the point where the majority of our squad is 25 or under. That's far too young to be out there looking for them consistently put on points. And when you take out the first 11, the squad's even younger. You're not going to win games consecutively, and you're not going to compete across multiple competitions like that. You have to have 18, 19 first-team players and then supplement it with a couple of youngsters around the squad.
That's why we've got this. Recruitment, the strategy is all completely wrong because what you do is you have your experienced team and then you bring the youngsters into that. You don't have a young, inexperienced team and then bring a couple of experience after the fact for them to learn from. So we have had another guest join us as I was expecting. Mr. Box Office.
I knew I'd get him.
Hey.
I knew it.
What has someone said that you don't agree with, Alex?
Big up, Alex.
You're
You're
mute.
Hello, mate.
You're mute.
Yeah, whilst he's on mute, I'm just gonna say I'm all for the Archie Gray signing. Great signing, nothing against it, and he was worth the £40 million.
So I just need to just wipe my screen right now. I just need to wipe my screen because I can't believe what I've just seen here. Yeah, is I actually seen the Irish Hotspurs actually turned up in a debate with me. Actually wants to turn up because I've been trying to chase this guy.
Newsflash, Alex.
How many times? How many times I've been chasing you and you bottled it? How many times, bruv? How many times?
I've been here.
How many times, bruv? The last time I spoke to you, yeah, Harry Kane was in your mouth so much, yeah. You're talking about Harry Kane, yeah. That was 3 years ago, bro. 3 years ago, and you still talk about him. You still talk about him, bro.
Because we
You know
haven't,
what I mean? Yeah, because you bottled it. Because you're a little bottler, aren't you?
No,
Cheeky
because
little
we haven't
bottler,
got a
aren't you?
20-goal season striker.
Oh, here we go, here we go, here we go.
I've been here the
I
last
love
half
it.
an hour.
I
You're the
love
one that's
it.
turned up
You know,
late to
Mr.
the
Box
debate.
Office has been doing retirement
You've
last
turned up late.
a couple of days because he's done
Don't
the
talk to me about bottling.
little carnival.
You've turned up half an hour into a debate.
Oh really? Oh here
Yeah.
we go. No, because I've been waiting for you about 2 years, bruv. You still
I've been
haven't
waiting the
turned
last
up.
half an hour for you.
Right. Come on.
That's all I've
Come on.
got to say. Back to you, Stu. I'm done. See, I rattled him in 2 seconds, bro. That's how it is. You know what I mean?
Okay.
What have we said that you don't agree with, Alex? Come on. What's the
Well,
main
I ain't been
point?
watching, bruv. You know what I mean? Because I've been relapsing, bro. You know what I mean? I only saw a little 2 seconds. I saw this guy, the Irish Hotspur. I called him the Irish Hotspur because I don't like David. Alex loves David. You know what I mean? David's too boring for me. Yeah, Irish Hotspur though. I'll have Irish Hotspur all day long. You know what I mean? Yeah, because the Irish Hotspur can rattle all day long because he'll just talk about Harry Kane for 20 minutes. You know what I mean? That was gone 2 years ago. You know what I mean?
He didn't actually mention him though, Alex. He didn't actually mention Harry Kane.
I know, but he will mention him.
It's only Alex mentioned it. It's in his head.
Cheeky. Back to you, Luke. I'm done.
I'm in his
and
head.
I've only
I
just got
can't rattle.
started.
Well, what a way to end that. Alex, pleasure to have you here, mate. Thanks very much for coming on. Yeah, so we was obviously discussing, and just before you come in, Alex, I was basically saying that, as I say, I think the strategy that we've got in terms of going down the youth project is great, but you have to have experienced pros for these players to learn from. You can't be sitting there and going and signing young player after young player. And as I said, it's ironic that we're sitting here now, and I completely agree that we're sitting here now saying that the squad isn't good enough. But actually, for the last 3 transfer windows, that's all we've been buying. So I've been saying exactly what they were saying, that you go and you improve your 11. Once your 11 improve, that improves your squad. Therefore, you're in a better position. And if we would have been doing that for the last, and it's not necessarily about the amount of money spent, we could have, as Dan said, we could have spent that money elsewhere on experienced pros, and we wouldn't be in this sort of situation now. But someone did mention it. That getting players out the door has been just as big a problem. That's been a problem at Spurs for years, but that's a massive, massive problem for us, isn't it?
We can't seem to get rid of no one at the moment, can we? But the other question is that I'll ask with that one, with what you're saying, that I did ask a few people. Everyone's saying Bissouma out, he's this, he's that, he's whatever. The only time we saw him play half decent was when he actually got played to his capability. He's not a defensive player, but his mentality, he's had 3 years. I get that he's got to go. The question I asked with him specifically is, can we actually afford to let Bissouma go? Because the problem is we're playing in the Champions League against PSG, and we're in that position where Paulini or Bentancur is getting dry, basically. They need to come off. And we're bringing in Archie Gray, who touches the ball once in 20 minutes. Or would you rather bring on a Bissouma?
Well, I think that's the problem, is that, and I'm guilty of this. Archie Gray, for instance, players like that, I've been happy for them to come through the door, but expecting other players to come through too. Like, for instance, the Tell situation. I was never expecting Tell to be our starting left winger.
Can we afford to get rid of Davis, Luke? Can we even afford to let Davis go at the moment?
At the moment,
he shouldn't
absolutely
be.
Not. We've not. With
Who can
Vuskovic
we actually afford to get
rid of Bissouma? Bissouma's not good enough. Bissouma's been out of club for 3 years, and he's been called out down by every single manager. Conte, and they've all called him out. He's now
okay.
Frank's had him for
well
6
done.
weeks. He's called him out.
Who would you rather have on the pitch against PSG? Who would you rather have?
Archie Gray. I'd rather have a player that's committed to the badge. Not one that turns up to training late every other week. Not one that's not serious.
I get all that. But on the pitch,
it's not about what you do on the pitch. We have to be honest.
Well, of course it is.
No, it is to some extent. But if you're turning up to training late, then it's not about what you do on the pitch. You
I
can't
get
be
that,
a part of the club.
but we can't.
You can't even be in that dressing room.
Archie Gray touched that ball once in 20 minutes. Once.
No, I get that, but let's
So
have
George,
it
you
right,
want a nice
though,
boy
Dan.
then? You want a nice player that's just a
No,
good
it's
two shoes, yeah?
No,
That's what you
I
want.
do.
That's what you want, yeah, bro.
I do hear.
I do
that,
get
but,
both sides, by the way.
I
You
do
want a
get
good
the
goody
point you're
two
getting
shoes in the squad right now,
it's
yeah,
not
bro.
about goody two. What? So you
that just sits there, does his homework,
Alex,
yeah, and then
are we
he does
supposed
what
to
does really,
are we
really
supposed
badly,
to
yeah. That's
ignore
what
the
we
fact
want,
that
yeah.
this was the guy that got caught doing drugs. That's how right he was. He was doing drugs last year on live. Yeah, this is all over the net. He got caught, and then he got banned. He got told by Conte, and out of all players, Conte picked him out to be the one that struggles tactically. He then gets a new manager where you get a new lease of life. And let's have it right. He actually performed in the final of the Europa League and the semi-final. So he could have, amongst a few Spurs fans, been given a chance under Frank. He turns up late to training, and Frank never said he'd done it once. He said he'd done it multiple times. So this is an attitude problem. He thinks he's bigger than the club, but he's never once performed for this club. So I wouldn't even have those players in and around the dressing room. That's a bad example to set to players like Archie Gray, who's now going to think I don't need to perform and I'll still get game time. That's what you're letting the players think. You can't. I wouldn't even risk playing Bissouma. I wouldn't even risk.
I get where you're coming from with it. Yeah, I do get the point of it, but I think you're looking at more what is, how should I put it? What is mentally right. You're looking at more what should be right and everything. And you're totally right in what you're saying. But at the end of the day, Archie Gray in midfield, when he has played centre mid, whether he's 18 or not, he's been a waste of space. At least Bissouma, and the other issue with Bissouma is the fact that every manager he's had has played him totally out of position. And what I mean by that is he's a box-to-box pressing player, yeah? Not a box-to-box defensive player. Watch where he made up to 80% of his mistakes, always in a defensive position, which he doesn't play. He sits just past the halfway line, box-to-box, gets it, presses forward, direct ball. No, every manager played in defensive. Now, his attitude stinks. I totally get that, yeah? Can Frank get something different out of it? Maybe. Time would tell. But we're in a position at the moment. I'm sorry. I will not change it, that I would be willing to get rid of a player who can handle being on the pitch against a big team instead of a player who shouldn't even be picked in the 25 for the Champions League or the Premier League. I'm thinking about winning, not what is morally correct. I think you're thinking too morally.
Don't you think that you're both right? This is the problem.
Yep.
Is that you're
there is two sides to it. I'm agreeing with his side as well.
Realistically, we were actually arguing over two players for Tottenham Hotspur.
It's the position the club has put us in, basically.
We shouldn't be arguing over whether Bissouma should still be here or not. The fact is he should have been gone, and we should be upgrading him, and that is the problem. That's exactly the problem.
Well, that's the reason why we still got Johnson. That's the reason why we still got Berval, and all reps a little call about some of these just done have a little few moments. That's why we still got Archie Gray, who should be on loan. That's the reason, because Johnson does nothing other than score goals, and he does not.
So we should.
That's the whole point.
That's
anyway,
is that a bad football player?
All I can say,
he does nothing.
All I'm going to say is, because this is what happens when I come on the show. I rattle people. The point is, though, yeah, right? Okay, what happened to Sterling? Look what happened to Sterling, yeah. That's why I call him below average Sterling. Like, you know what I mean? That's the reason anyway, because the truth hurts, like I said. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's what I'm saying. We're too light with these players. You know what I mean? Yeah, and we're going into Champions League. We're lucky to get an easy draw. Yeah, let's just get it right. An easy draw in that Champions League. Yeah, right. So as far as I'm concerned, we've got to be ruthless. Yeah. And the thing is, I get too many people like Sean talk about teams that are so lucky to get all these great owners who paid for everything and everything else, and that's it, yeah. But they are ruthless. They're ruthless to their youngsters and ruthless with their players, yeah. And that's why they're successful, and that's why players want to go there, yeah. And that's why we're still losers, even though we won Europa League. And you're gonna lie to me? You're gonna have a go at me then? Are you gonna have a go at me then? No, you're not. No, you're not, because I'm talking truth. Back to you, Luke. I'm done. Rinsing the idiots to pieces.
Thanks for coming back to me, mate. Blaine, massive thank you for coming, a YouTube member, and then very, very kindly dropped 5 Spotlight on Spurs memberships in the chat. Really, really appreciate it. If you've got a membership, please say thank you. and George, you're one of them who
Come on,
who got a membership. So massive thank you for Blaine for doing that. And as John said, make sure you're coming in, smashing a like, a massive Spurs Fire Braid. Massively appreciated, guys. Thank you very much. And listen, I think this is the problem, is that we sit here and argue over these players when in fact there shouldn't even be an argument in terms of we should be upgrading these players. These players should be leaving and there should be better players coming through the door. I think, Jordan, you're bang on. We've had Bissouma for so long now. And again, Dan, you are right as well. He's not being played in his exact position. But unfortunately, you've got to be versatile in terms of being able to adapt to different players, managers, tactics, etc. And it's not worked. It's not worked for so many managers.
Some players can, some players can't. Simple as that. Yeah. Some of the best players there's ever been have only been able to play their way.
Yeah.
Just because a player isn't, if you want to call it versatile, just because a player can't adapt in that, it doesn't mean he's not a great player. It's just it helps when you've got a player who can adapt to situations, and that is very helpful. When it comes to Bissouma, I mean, you look at the Europa Cup games he played for us, and that he was one of the best players on the pitch. Why? Because he was allowed to press forward, not have to sit back and cover that bloody open role, basically, of a DM when he is not a defensive player in any means or manner. And he looks significantly a better player. But I agree with his attitude and everything and stuff like that. But again, who are honestly, if you are out there as a manager, your job is to win this game. Come love nor money, no matter what way you got to do it. Whether you got to do it nice, whether you got to do it ugly. I'm sorry, I am not bringing Archie Gray on that pitch over Bissouma. Not in a million years.
Are we not putting Frank in a difficult position where, regardless whether it's Gray or whether it's Bissouma, he's bringing on players that shouldn't be at this level?
The thing is, though, Frank has a zero dickhead policy, and that's well known, and he's not going to tolerate Bissouma's behaviour and around the place. And look, I do get what Dan is saying, but realistically, Bissouma isn't good enough to give a free license role to in the midfield. He's just not that level of midfield. He's not that sort of game changer. And, you know, people overlook a lot of his mistakes. You know, you go back to the Chelsea game last year when we were 2-0 up. It was him that gave away a ball that led to the collapse. And I think he also gave away a penalty. You know, against Liverpool in the Carabao Cup second leg, it was 0-0. It was him that didn't complete a 10-yard pass to Papa Matsar, gave away the ball, was turned over, was in the back of our net. I think he also gave one away in the North London Derby that got turned over and back in our net as well. So he, in a lot of the big games, he proven he was not dependable. You know, you cannot depend on this guy. I take Dan's point. Archie Gray isn't good enough in the midfield either. You know, people can sit there and make all the excuses you want. Bergvall had a bigger jump up and a bigger leap to make from where he came from Sweden, second division, into the Premier League. And he's shown much more improvement than what Archie Gray has. And I agree with Dan. The reality is both isn't good enough. But if you're Thomas Frank right now and you operate off a zero dickhead policy, because you've got to remember, in order for Thomas Frank's systems to work, you've got to have complete buy-in. That's why his systems work. You've got to have complete buy-in by everybody. With Bissouma, he's not going to buy into it. He's not going to sit, you know, he's out there. He wants to go out there and have a good time. He wants to be on balloons, everything else. He gave us an apology after the Chelsea game and doubled down Europa League against Rangers and had an absolute shocker. The guy, you cannot depend on him, but you also can't depend on Archie Gray. But I suppose if you're Thomas Frank, you're probably going to look at Archie Gray and go, well, I'd rather take the risk and try and develop him into what I need and maybe get him to learn off someone like Paulinho than trying to get through to Bissouma, because he's at the age where you're not going to get through to the guy.
And also, if you are Thomas Frank, if people don't know, Archie Gray was completing his move to Brentford before we hijacked it. Thomas Frank quite clearly rates Archie Gray, because Archie Gray was not going to Brentford to play right back or play centre back or play left back. He was going there to play centre mid, and he would have fit into the systems. I think Archie Gray, I think a lot of the stuff people have gone is so early to say regarding his qualities in midfield, because they've probably seen him in midfield about 6 or 7 times in totality. And majority of those times haven't really been from the start of the game.
But
he's only got
to earn more minutes in midfield, though, is by taking your minutes when they're presented to you. Like, we can't get into a situation like we have been in years gone by where we go, well, this player needs 10, 20 games. At this level, you don't get that, especially as a youngster. You might only get 6 to 10 opportunities.
Look at the youngsters. Look at the youngsters we let go. Look at the youngsters we let go online right now. Right. So why are they not getting any chance? But Archie Gray's got a chance. Oh,
what youngsters have we let go that you feel like we should have kept?
No, I'm just saying. I'm saying right now, right?
No, you said look at the youngsters that we
if
let
you're going to
go.
give youngsters, if you're giving youngsters a chance, we've put most of the youngsters that are supposedly the class of '92, according to Johnny, that has now rested his comment, right? That said that they were ready to come into this first team. We're gonna grow
Like
them.
who
Yeah.
though?
Huh?
You got to name the players, Alex. You
I
can't
think-
just make a statement like that and not name the players.
Dorrington, I was told.
Dorrington's gone back on loan to Aberdeen to get some
Aberdeen.
more.
There was another one as well that Brian Daigle loves. The
I think
midfielder.
what Alex is trying to say is basically if our youth academy was that bloody good, like a lot of people do preach it is, and a lot of people do, we've got a fantastic youth academy, excellent players, this and that. Why can none of them get in a team over bloody Archie Gray or TSL? I think that's what he's trying to say.
Yeah, I get that point. But if you look at Tottenham's record, they have a history of giving youngsters they paid money for an opportunity over a kid out of the academy. You know, you look at Mikey Moore. I'll be honest, has Udabur or Tell had more of an impact than what he has? And look at the money we paid for them. Mikey Moore doesn't get the credit for the performances in the early rounds of the group last year in Europa League. And if he didn't perform in them games, we wouldn't have made it all the way to the final. You know, Jamie Donnelly last year given an opportunity at left back, but because we spent money on Bergval and Gray, they were given opportunities in midfield in pre-season. Donnelly was shoved out to left back, even though he was creating all the goals for Will Lancashire. You know, we're sitting here crying out for a number 10 now. We're probably going to end up taking a punt in the market on a gamble. Why not give the opportunity to someone like Jamie Donnelly? You know, and this is a history of at Tottenham Hotspur. We won't really give academy graduates an opportunity. We'd rather give the players that we spent money on the opportunity. We spent 40 million on Gray. I would argue Donnelly would have a much better impact given the opportunity than what Archie Gray would.
But you know what? Let's be honest with ourselves, though, Dave. Yeah, and I hear this a lot about our academy. If you look at our record of all our academy graduates across the last 20 years, you can probably name 2 or 3 that are actually consistent Premier League ballers. And the players that you are going to name are Harry Winks and co. There isn't, and Madueke now. And Madueke is the best player to, and this says a lot. He's the best player to come out of our academy. Yeah, I mean, that's left us, obviously, not playing with us, but the best player to leave our academy in the last 15 years. He's not that good.
He left us at 16.
16, and he left us like he was. That's the thing. He left at a very young age when they realized he wasn't going to get an opportunity. Remember Marcus Edwards? People made him out to be so good. He's not starting for Burnley right now. So all these players that people talk about in our academy that are so good never go on to have amazing careers. None of them. They're all league. They're English football league.
It's all good saying that, though. That's all good.
It's not all good saying that. It's facts, Alex. Alex. Let me make my point. Because it's all good you saying, "Oh, this youngster, this youngster, that," off of the top of your head. But if you actually look at the data, I've done this. I've done the research. You go do your research. Go find me youngsters that have actually made
George, you're not listening to my point. George,
if we're selling these youngsters and we're selling them out on loan, it's because they're not good enough.
George, the point I was making, right? It's not saying that some of these youngsters should have got a chance. I'm saying, right, because the manager, right, and he's made his decision based on the fact he ain't got time. He ain't got time. Yeah.
But no manager has. This is why
the point.
The club needs to make more of an overview of this.
There's some silly people in the chat thinking I'm getting bantered by George, which is a load of rubbish, right? Right. Okay, no disrespect to you.
You're rattled, man. On Alex, yeah, again.
You're rattled.
You're rattled, Alex.
Not rattled at all. Because Mr. Box Office can do better than that all day long. You got to do better than that all day long. But the manager, the tenure is 18 months, and that's fact. Yeah, that's a fact. Yeah. So he hasn't got time. He hasn't got time. The way that he's acted right now with these youngsters, he hasn't got time. So for me, Archie Gray's only got till January. January maybe this season.
But this is why decisions need to be made by not your manager. You're right. It's normally 18 months, 2 years, something like that. That's why there needs to be people that are higher up that make the decisions that are the long term. That is why you do this. I mean, I slightly disagree on Frank's behalf because I think Frank is a long-term manager. I think with Ange, I think with other managers, Conte, Mourinho, they're coming in going, I care about the next 2 months. I care about the next 3 months. I don't care about a year's time. Whereas I think Frank is very different. The way he's operated at Brentford, I think he's more of a, what do I do next year? Where does this person go? What happens in 18 months? But there should be someone at the club that's looking after this sort of thing. And I think, again, we have so many youngsters that are overhyped that we just go, they're young, they're from our academy, they should be playing. Ajayi was the favourite one last year because he came on, he scored that goal, he looked lively, and all I heard was he should be starting. In the second division, in the under-21 league of the Premier League, he played 18 games and got 3 goals. He was average in that league. He's now gone to League 2 and he's ripping it up. Brilliant. But that's the level that he's at. And this is what's absolutely crazy is like Josh Keeley was another one. Josh Keeley should be coming in and he should be starting. He should be involved in the first team squad. He's gone to a League 1 team.
It's not about starting. But when you see some of the performances we seen last season, you're telling me some of them youngsters wouldn't have performed better than some of the performances we've seen last season, or would have took took them minutes more than what some of them other players did. Some of them players took some of them minutes for granted last season. Some of them youngsters would have used that to impress. Ajayi came off the bench, scored. We didn't see him again. We were struggling to create last season for large parts. I'm sorry, but if a player comes off the bench, makes that impact, you got to give him another opportunity. That's the problem.
With young players, you're supposed to go into a structured setup
where
things are working. So I know, but that's the ideal. That's why people don't necessarily bring on youngsters when the games are tough, or when it's normally when they've got a foothold in it. They come on with a 2-0 up, 3-0 up. So to put the amount of pressure on these youngsters when it was a toxic environment at Spurs last year. So you don't want to put your young players constantly in that environment because it can have an adverse effect. It isn't. I know what you're saying. You do want to be able to mix it up and everything else, but the way some fans act, and I'm not saying anyone on this panel, but the way some fans act are almost like, yeah, all the youngsters should be playing, and it's like, well, if that's the case, Chelsea would be playing an under-12 team because the more experience you get and the more games you play, the better you become. That's not how it works with young players. There's so many different factors that
I get what you're saying. My argument for the academy kids, though, is like someone like Mikey Moore, for instance, right? Didn't see him for months, came off the bench with Everton, how many minutes to go? Lovely, delicious cross straight into Richarlison in the back of the net. Made an impact. Didn't really get his opportunity again after. But, we kept on giving them to Udebur. We kept on giving them to Tell. What did they do? Absolutely zilch with it. You know what I mean? And for me, that's my problem. We spent 30 million on Udebur. By the way, I think Udebur has potential. I think in 2 to 3 years, he could be something special. But the reality is, we spent 30 million on him. Mikey Moore, I'd argue, had more of an impact in the games he played. We went and loaned him Matisse Town. Sorry, what did he do? And again, at the start, you see him the chance in Europa Super League. Go and make an name for yourself. Go and make an impact. Done absolutely zilch. Wouldn't even do any running out of possession. Someone like Mikey Moore, again, sent out on loan. Why? He'd have more of an impact than some of these guys that we're spending big money on. And that money, then, we can actually put into proper first team players. And then you build the environment and you build the squad where you can actually let some of these youngsters come in an area, with an opportunity where they can absolutely thrive. But right now, we're throwing them in and we're going, we want you to be the answer because we have nobody else. It's not fair on them. But I do think at Tottenham, even as Tottenham fans, I think we're more than okay to go and give youngsters that we spent money on and call for them to get the opportunity. But when it comes to our youngsters, we sort of turn our nose up at them. We sort of go, never good enough. And you look right throughout the Premier League. We're one of the only teams that doesn't really give our young players an opportunity. A lot of clubs do give their players an opportunity. They do turn to them. If they make an impact, they sort of keep them around. They keep giving them the opportunities. We don't at Tottenham Hotspur. Every year we go into Europe, we're sitting there and we have to weaken our squad or add 5 or 6 goalkeepers just to make the homegrown quota. At some point, you've got to produce a couple of your own, and develop these guys to be good enough week in, week out, so that when you do go into Europe every year, you don't have that problem also. We have to start producing some of our own. But we, even as fans, we're more than happy to give players we've paid an opportunity rather than some of our own sometimes.
The other thing is with it, though, Dave, we justify what we do. As in, when I say we, I mean a very large amount of Spurs supporters justify the crap that we go and do. Oh, he's going to be this. Oh, he's going to be that. Oh, he might have cost 40 million. That's not his fault. He's on 70. Do you know what? I don't care that a player's 18. If he costs 40 million, not his call, and he gets paid 75 grand a week, I will judge him. I will judge him on that pitch, whether he costs 5 million or 50 million, exactly the same way I will judge any other player. The only leeway I will give him on there is when you can see it's a mistake through experience. If it's a mistake or whatever where they just ain't good enough, like we have seen with our so-called younger players, I'm going to judge them the same way. You want to play a man's game and be in a man's team, then you get judged like a man as well. People make the excuse for Spurs young players too much. They big them up so much that the only thing they can do is get pushed off a cliff, basically. And then we get other supporters on there going on about we've got to do this, we've got to do that, but then complain that we don't go and buy big players. When someone like Grealish pops up, no, he ain't good enough for us. He's had a good drink or two. He ain't good enough. No. Give Archie Gray and Tell a chance. They need a chance. We have to play. Make your mind up, people. What do you actually want? Do you want to bring on an Archie Gray or a bloody Tell or a bloody Odebert, or do you want to bring on a Grealish? But people say that Grealish isn't good enough.
No.
But Dan, don't you feel
good enough?
Don't you feel that's a bit of copium from the fans, though, mate? Because realistically, we don't bring in the players that we feel like we deserve. So we kind of stop with players that could be. No, absolutely. I just feel like it's a bit of copium, though, because we don't get what we deserve. So I feel like, realistically, this is all us fans are left with. We've got this youngster who could be amazing. And I know exactly what you're saying. We do tend to big him up too much. I mean, Archie Gray, for instance, I just want to go back to him real quick. I feel a little bit sorry for Archie Gray. He played right back at Leeds for a solid year. Now, his preferred position is CDM, right? He comes to Tottenham. Well, so he says. He comes to Tottenham. He plays right back and centre back for a majority of the season. I think he played 5 games, I want to say, last season as CDM. Yeah. I kind of agree with what George says. I think it might be a little bit too early to make judgment on a Gray.
Okay, the judgment I'll give you, he's not yet. The judgment I'll give you, I agree on that, to judge him as an overall player for the future. The judgment I would give you, he is not good enough now. Fact.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair point. But
so he shouldn't be. So he shouldn't be here.
We've all just said.
But then people advocate for playing youth, so I mean, you can't win either way.
We've all just sat here and said, "What about Bissouma?" And that's the person that Gray's going to be learning from. This is what I'm saying. You bring in experienced pros that you want the young players to learn from. And right now, Archie Gray is learning from. Pellegrini's just come in, but he'd be learning from a Bentancur. He'd be learning from a Bissouma. Pape Sarr and Bissouma. I don't know whether anyone's seen James Maddison's YouTube. Pape Sarr and Bissouma are together all the time. Now, Pape Sarr does not strike me as a similar sort of character to Bissouma, and I do not want him following his traits. So, therefore, I don't want an Archie Gray following his traits. So, again, the club have not looked after its asset and gone, we're bringing in an Archie Gray. Let's make sure we've got players around him that he's going to be able to learn from. He's going to be and specifically the position as well. That's a key part of this. So, again, all of this might be correct in terms of that. It may be if Gray had an experienced pro like Palhinha to learn from, he might have exceeded what he's done previously because of that.
Or we go and do what a big club does, what Arsenal do, what Man U even do, what Chelsea do, and that. Get him out on loan. I mean, again, you can put this to opinion. My opinion is you can sit there with your little notepad looking up at your star all day long, getting the odd 10 minutes here and there, and then playing bloody Charlton or something like that. Or you can go down a level to the Championship, whatever, or go up to Scotland or go over to Germany, wherever you can get the loan and get some consistent game time and improve as a player.
Don't you think the game time's not the issue, though, Dan?
I think he does. This one's opinion, purely opinion. I think more time on the pitch does you more favours than sitting there with a bloody notepad, Nick, looking up to someone. That's my opinion. Yeah. And he obviously needs strength in physicality and that as well, because he is not a DM. If I barge past him in a pub, I'd look at him twice and laugh and walk off. He's half the size of me. And you're telling me that's a DM? Never in a million years. But as Spurs supporters, again, we will justify buys like that all day.
How big is Kimmich? How big is Kimmich?
He's significantly big. He's bigger than Archie Gray.
Kimmich is teeny tiny, mate.
He's tiny.
And look how good he is. Yeah, but he's bigger than Gray.
Yeah, but Ben, he's got experience though, bro, and he's not a backup. Like
does anyone not think Archie Gray looks a bit stiff in the midfield or in general?
It's not his position, is it?
He looks like he hasn't come out of his.
But the problem isn't because of Archie Gray, though. The problem is he's a 19-year-old. Of course, a 19-year-old is going to be very No.
We're not
Alex,
doing this.
we're just being silly then, because at 19 years old, was you bigger than you are now at 19 years old?
Okay, well, firstly, there's so many wonder kids out there are doing it right now, George. We're not doing this. We're not doing this. It doesn't matter because unfortunately right now, in reality right now, how many youngsters at the moment, George, are doing well at the moment at 19? that are doing it.
You're
every
making
single
but
time.
Alex, this is your problem. Is you make a completely irrelevant argument and try to make it seem like you're winning it. No, to say what
No,
19-year-olds
how is
are
that not
doing.
an argument? Look how many
Because you're
youngsters out
saying
there.
what? No, because we're not
How
talking
many
about what
youngsters out there
19-year-olds
right
do.
now?
We're talking about his physicality and his issue with his physical. We do not expect a 19-year-old to be fully built into his
so
body
why are we putting him in the
and to be able
squad?
to. And what
Ask the
again?
question.
Again.
But then why are
when
we
you-
advocating for other youth players to play? It's experience. They need to build experience.
They build experience. He's going to grow into his body, and ultimately, I think the reason why he's ahead of a lot of youngsters because his technical level is so much higher than a lot of their academy.
So why is he in the squad then,
He's in
George?
the
If
squad
he's in
because
the
he's technically really good and his football IQ
so
is
if
really
he's in
good.
the
He
squad,
needs to work on his team.
if he's in the
I
squad,
think
then
that he would learn more at staying at Spurs, playing just 20 games this season, than going on loan to a championship team and playing 45 games. He'll learn more just staying here, playing with better top players, being around this environment.
based on your
And
saying,
also,
then,
I
based
think
on
the
your
problem-
saying, then,
the problem with the fan base and the problem with people like you, Alex, and what you're doing is you're going too early. Yes, we spent 40
no, I'm
million
not going
pounds
too
on him.
early because he's in the
Yes,
squad for a
yes, we
reason.
spent-
So then
Yes,
he's in
we
the
spent
squad for a
40
reason.
million pounds on him, but he's 18. He's 19 years old. How long do you give a 19-year-old?
Okay, so 19 years old, he's in the squad though for a reason. Then, so he's in the squad, right? So when there's injury to Pavinia, right, or Bentancur, right, then he's the main man. He's the main man.
Again,
if we get a 10, Saul will cover him.
No, because that's reality. That's
no,
reality.
because he's not the main man. He's not the main man. That's not the reality.
Go back on yourself now. No, don't go back on yourself now. Right now,
nobody's gone back on themselves. You're just speaking, so nobody else can speak. That's not an argument. That's not a debate. Don't speak to yourself when it becomes a debate and you win the debate. You're speaking to yourself.
You just said now, right, that he's 90 years old. Well, why is he in the squad then? If he's
all right, so let me
nothing?
tell. So are you going to let me answer, or are you just going to speak to yourself?
Okay, go on then, answer that then.
All right. So again, he's 19 years old. We have a lot of 19. I don't know if you know the world of football right now, but there's a lot of 19-year-olds in first team squad.
People.
You just mentioned how there's a lot of 19-year-olds performing.
About Tottenham.
You asked me a question. Let me answer.
Okay, yeah, but go back Tottenham, not other teams.
It might be good if you wait until I answer, so you can actually understand. You can't speak and listen at the same time.
Oh yeah,
so
yeah,
again,
go on. But
you spoke about why is he if he's 19? Why is he in the squad? For one, the world of football has changed. People now think that a 30-year-old is an old veteran player that they don't want in their squad. You don't see teams often sign 30-year-olds. The new day and age, the modern era of football is sign players young so you can get them and make the most out of them. You put more money into them young, so when they eventually reach their peak, you don't have to invest 80, 90 or 100 million pound into the player. Why we've gone in so early on a player like Archie Gray is because we know that he doesn't actually have to grow into the player that you guys expect until he's about 22 to 23 years old. Do you know how long that is? Another 3 seasons. I am cool with him not performing to his actual level for another 2 seasons or so because he's still growing. We just see with a player like Pap Sarr, who's had he's going into his 4th season as a Spurs player, by the way. We bought him 4 years ago because he sent him back on loan. Then he had 3 years at Spurs where you could say it was so. He didn't necessarily perform out of his skin, had some really good games, but had some poor games. Inconsistent as a youngster is. He's now started this season to look a lot better in a way where a manager with a proper system.
No, he hasn't.
He's been the best player in
Oh,
Spurs.
sorry, I misunderstood who you were talking about. My bad.
Oh, yeah.
I misunderstood who you were talking about.
I need to come back on all this.
All my point is, Alex. I
just need to come. Let him waffle for about 20 minutes. Let him his 5 minutes of fame. Then the main event needs to come back at him.
No, but sorry, George, I misunderstood who you were talking about. I thought you were still talking about.
I just meant Sarr. So what I'm trying to say is that you give a player time, eventually he's going to get to that level. I feel like Sarr is now built into his body because he used to be very slim, slender, same with Archie Gray, and he's now learnt the physicality of the Premier League where he's now comfortable. I think it may take Gray a few seasons, same way, but we as fans, just because we spent 40 million pounds, don't mean that we need to give him 2 seasons to perform or 3. He's 18, 19. He can perform in 4 years. As long as in those 4 or 5 years, by the time he starts to perform, that he actually reaches a top level, then it's fine.
Then don't complain when we ain't got the 40 million to put it towards Eze or another bloody player. And accept your Archie Gray that might come good in 3 or 4 years. Then do not ever complain that we have not got that extra 40 million or 30 million to go and put towards a player.
I was just about to say that.
We know that.
Just about to say that.
No, because
we all know we don't spend the bloody money. Yeah.
Okay, but then we're not complaining that again. If the budget is the problem, then that's a different scenario. Because again, last season, Well, let's have it right. We didn't go in for another centre mid. Why? Because Ange felt like Bergvall and Gray were good enough. That is literally what come out, right? Is that not what come out?
The
You
point
said
I'm making
that
is,
how many times, Alex? You told me on
if
stream
if
all
you
year.
want if you want these players in the
Ange
squad,
said Gray and Bergvall were
if
good enough. That's what
you
you said to me.
want this player in the squad, George, yeah, okay, cool. I don't want to hear you moaning when we get injuries, right? And this guy's got to be our main player in our midfield, right? I don't want to hear you moaning, yeah, because at the end of the day, he's in the squad.
You've never seen me moan
He's
about Gray
in
and
the
Bergvall.
squad. I'm sorry, no, I'm not doing this. Yeah, I'm not doing this. If he's in the squad, he's good enough, as far as I'm concerned. If he's not
It's
good
not
enough,
just him, it's
he's
Tell
done-
as well.
Tell us what, yeah, all of them. Yeah, because at the end of the day, when it comes to the crunch, when they have to turn up in a game, even in the Carabao Cup, because let's be honest here, if they turn up in the Carabao Cup and we get knocked out, you know who's getting blamed.
I bet
You know who's getting blamed. You know who's getting blamed. Yeah, and it's Thomas Frank, your lovable Thomas Frank, your poor Thomas Frank. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. Choo, like everybody calls it. Rubbish. You know what I mean? Yeah.
You're not
That's
all
what's
on
gonna
board.
happen.
You're not all on board the Frank train. You're not all on board it, Alex.
I'm joking. I
But
just
I
want to
think
try and
this
rattle
is-
George. I'm joking.
But this is the problem. Is like, and I completely agree. We can't keep agreeing to signings, and then when the signings don't work out, we then say that we should have been signing elsewhere. Because I think that's happened a lot with Spurs fans. The amount of players that we've kind of not bought, and everyone's gone, oh, we should have bought them. And I was like, yeah, but you also said we should have bought X, Y, and Z, and their careers have gone absolutely down the pan, and you don't mention any of that. So we need to look at it a little bit more. Like, there's been so many players, Nusa, for instance, everyone was going absolutely crazy. We didn't get him. Pedro Neto was another one. Why didn't we spend 200 grand a week and 60 million on him? Brennan Johnson, numbers wise, just absolutely smashes him out of the ballpark. So there's so many different variables to this. And I'm not saying that one's better than another, but it's very easy. We sit there as a fan base going, yeah, well, we should have gone and got him. And it's like, yeah, but if we did get him at the quality that he was at, then you wouldn't have been happy with that because you would have wanted X, Y, Z. Pochettino, exactly the same. We all wanted Van Gaal. We got Pochettino. Everyone was slightly disappointed with it, and all of a sudden, look what happened. So that's part of the parcel. You're going to miss out on targets. You're not going to sign certain players. For me, and I think George is right, the money isn't the problem, or the money shouldn't be the problem. So when I said at the end of the season, let's get rid of Højbjerg is a player you should be upgrading. I'm fine to get rid of Højbjerg. I'm fine for Gray to come in, but there should have been another player, a Palhinha, a insert name here. You've got 100 that should have also been coming in with him so that he can learn and develop. So again, I think it's a case of we should be signing young players. Everybody's doing it. I think that's the reason why Romero didn't get his move this year, because everybody's gone. Huijsen, Zabani, they're all 23, 24. That's what the age that everyone's looking at. We don't want to go above that. So it's been a new market where people are not going and buying the complete player at 26, 27 anymore. They're going to get the 22, 23, 24-year-olds. We need to be in a position where we've already got them and they're coming into the team at 23, 24 and actually playing week in, week out. I think that's
the maddest thing with that, Luke, is we're not like 22, 23, 24 is now the new prime. People sign those players for 7. Look at Xavi Simmons. We're supposedly in for him right now. 22 years old, 60 million pounds. That Volta guy who Newcastle have just confirmed the signing for. 23-year-olds, 80 million euros or 90 million euros. Sesko, 22-year-olds, 80 or 90 million euros. It seems like now that the football has changed to the point that 22, 23, and 24 are the highest value players on the market. So that's why, and this is why Spurs have tried to go under that, because in a typical Spurs fashion, we don't want to pay the top dollar. We've found out this window, whenever we go in for those players, those age ranges, you have to pay a minimum of 60 million euros or 55 million pounds, whatever it is. That's literally Spurs' maximum. So when the minimum of that player is Spurs' maximum, we're now having the issue that we're trying to negotiate for all these players, and we're getting rejected half of the time because we're not going to offer the wages, because we're offering too much money on the upfront on the the actual player and so on. So that is where the issue is. Spurs are always trying to avoid paying the top dollar for the price and for the players that are actually of the right quality and value. That's where the issue is. And we're always going to have that.
Okay, fine. I'll agree with that. 100% agree with you. But then do we have to sit here and accept it? I'll just deal with what you got. I'll give him a chance. Look, I'll say my point again. If you're going to say that players like that, they're only 18, they're only 19 and whatever, we got to give them time, we got to give them this, we got to give them that, then anybody can shut up and don't bloody complain when we ain't got that extra 30 million, 40 million, 50 million to put on top of a Simmons deal. You know what? Simmons, they want 70 mil, this and that, just an example. He wants 75 grand a week or 100 grand a week, whatever it is. Do you know what? Let's make this deal too good for you. There's 75 million for you, so you ain't even going to mess about with it. And then there's 120 grand for you that, nope, we know Spurs don't do that, but it also gets spent on players who just ain't ready for this team yet, who are not even ready for Premier League. And then the other point I'll make with it as well is people keep calling them kids. What age do you stop becoming a kid? I know people grown up in different areas, different places, different times and that. But for me, when you was 18, 19, you weren't a kid anymore. I feel players get too much. He's a kid. He's a kid. I even hear it when someone's 23. He's a kid. Well, right. So when do you stop being a kid?
Sorry, the fact you could be 23 and still go for the the young player of the year is absolutely outrageous.
You know,
I read a stat the other day. Yamal could win that for 8 years on the trot. And he'd still be classed as young. Like, that's nuts.
Do you know what it is though, Dan? I feel like when you talk about like football players, they are kids because their whole life is they're cuddled around. They don't live a normal life like a normal guy, you know, at 19, 20, they're living their life. They might be working, then they're actually doing life. Football players are still usually in their mum's house at that age. They're still being, you know, they just go training, they come home. They don't live a normal life. So I do think they are kids. I think football players start to not become kids when you get someone like... That's why I didn't want Mikey Moore going to Rangers. I wanted him to do what Jed Spence done, send him out to Europe, go become a man, go live all by yourself in another country, in another environment where you can't call your mum when you're getting annoyed when, you know, you're having a bad day, or you can't go see your dad. You've got to sit out alone in another country by yourself. That's where you become a man. So obviously, depending on certain players, they might mature quicker. But let's be honest, 21 plus would probably be an adult player, like a grown player, but 19, 20-year-olds are still kids, man. They are.
They're fair points. Do you know what? I'll step back a little bit. They're fair points, but I ain't calling a 20-year-old a bloody kid. So I get with the 18, 19. I think the phrase kid is more when people are talking about experience.
It is 100%. Look at Hato at Ajax. The guy's been captain, played over 100 league games for them. That's not a kid. I don't care if he's 18. That's not a kid. That's an experienced player that's coming in. And when we say signing kids, I think we mean non-experienced. You could be 20, but only played one season. Do you know what I mean? Like, is Yamal experienced?
Wasn't De Ligt captain of Ajax at the age of 18?
Yeah.
Am I right in thinking that? Champions League run.
That's why
Gravenberch was captain at 16 as well.
But realistically, you don't know you're born until you're about 21, 22, I'd say, personally. So, I mean...
Yeah, but this is why I think George chats a load of crap, because he says, oh, well, because they're young players. Oh, they're 19, they're 19, they're 18, whatever. Well, you see, by the evidence that we just spoken about now, it just proves my point that, you know, these kids, so-called kids, are experienced enough to be in the first teams, and they're doing what they're doing right now. You know what I mean? They're superstars very, very early. That's why some of them, most of them,
everyone's like that.
No, yeah, I get you. I'm not saying that.
Just like back in the day, you had Wayne Rooney who used to bully men at 17 years old.
That's why I'm not saying. I'm not saying he's talking whole load of crap, because some of it he has talking a load of a little bit of sense in there. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying about the whole thing. Oh, they're 19, they're 18, they're 17, whatever. Sorry. Like, there are youngsters out there that are in the first team and they're doing it. They have to do it. You know what I mean? You know, so for me, it's an excuse for me.
I do agree. At the end of the day,
if they're in the squad, this is the last point, and I'll let you you can say whatever you need to say. The point is, though, it's if they're in the squad, right, and if we have an injury, major injuries like we had last season, they are the first team. That's why I don't like backups. Right, and I keep on saying that, and I will keep on saying it till people are blue in the face. That's why I don't like backups, because if your backup becomes the first team, that's what you've got to rely on the whole season. You know what I mean? And what we're going to do then?
But this is it. So I know it was a couple of weeks ago now, but Frank's statement about the transfer window, about Tottenham, about Brentford, He's effectively come out and said that it's not fit for purpose. So for anyone that hasn't seen it, these are actual statements from the manager saying, obviously, we're signing players here where the process is in Brentford. I'm not saying they were better. I think they're very good. I think that Johan and his team is doing a top job. But just for them to understand what I'm looking for, that needs to be aligned. At Brentford, it was aligned. I want that. Okay, fine. We look at it, boom. And now I need to use more time with Johan and Rob and these guys, make presentations. No, I need that instead. So all of that is just extra hours every day. Now, you can do whatever you like, but that's basically saying that at Brentford, it was more streamlined. They knew what they were doing. And here, we're a little bit all over the place.
Do you know
Well,
what?
can you
Like,
be surprised when
I'm
you've
not
got
trying to
Johan
seem
Lahm?
like the positive guy. I'm really not trying to be that guy.
Yeah, you are.
We do need to be honest here. What he's basically saying there is that there is still time right now, and this does go back to Dave's point early on, is that Frank would have came in and made it very clear what he's looking for in his squad, what type of players he wants, and what he's identified to be the weakness at Tottenham. He would have come into the interviews with those plans. That's how managers work.
Yeah.
So 100% that. But what he's basically saying there is that him and the recruitment team or the transfer team are still aligning on what we're looking for in targets. Obviously, we know how clubs work. You don't necessarily just go for what the manager wants. You go for what the manager wants and combine it with what the team wants and, the sporting director, and then they figure that out. Quite clearly, there is an issue in the identifying of players right now. We know that by the scattergun approach of the window and how many different players we've been in talks with. I think all he's doing is pretty much saying there that, the process is very different between Tottenham and Brentford, as at Brentford, let's not have right, he was there for 8 or 9 years. They very much went into a transfer window and knew who their targets would be and worked their way down. At Spurs, quite clearly, that isn't the case. And I think that's all he's doing, is just highlighting that they're still figuring a lot of that stuff out, which is, it's definitely a bad sign. I'm not trying to say this is a bad sign that, he's saying that mid-August, because I think come out 2 weeks ago or so, isn't it?
10th of August.
So mid-August, he's coming out and say that. It's very worrying.
The squad is the hierarchy is not good. It's not good enough. I've said the director thing is not been good enough. The fact that now Parati's got to come back to doing his job, who I don't think is absolutely fantastic, but he's the best out of a bad bunch. Let's just be honest here. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, I do think people have got this little love thing for Paratici, but again, I think it's a very similar thing to what happened last year with a manager, in terms of people have they've already decided that their outcome is that Paratici's good, and then they completely just ignore all of the negatives that he brought alongside. Now, he brought in a load of positives. I'm not saying that he's useless. I'm just saying that, again, there has to be
the fact that Thomas Frank has said that, right, and we're seeing what's happening right now, right? Okay. I mean, unfortunately, I didn't put myself, I didn't get myself in there early with the whole thing with Simmons, but I think he's gone to Chelsea all day long. I've got to be honest.
We'll come on to that. We'll come on to that.
But yeah, sorry to hit that.
No. I'm just saying we'll come on to that. See if there's any more quotes that have come out.
But I just think it just shows you that we're just not the way that we do things, and I think the whole youngsters thing just show you how bad the director thing has been. So bad. You know what I mean? And the fact that Thomas Frank has said that, and he's only been there how long? How long?
It's a couple of months now, isn't it? 2.5 months, I think.
So you know what I mean? It's just. I have to give him credit. I have to give the man credit. He's navigated these 2 games, well, 3 games, if you include the Paris Saint-Germain game, very, very well. Even though we're still boring to watch. Sorry, I have to be honest.
Well, the thing is that Dan, I know, for instance, Dan's style of what he finds entertaining in football is different to what mine is, for instance. So it's not necessarily, you might find it boring, and there will be some people that will, but I don't think it's as bad as what other fans have had to endure. It's not like all out defense where there's no attacking impetus. But this actually goes on to a point that Jordan made earlier, in terms of, we've in theory, if we would have signed 2 attacking players of Palhinha and Kudus's quality, then I don't think it would have been so lopsided. But the problem is that when you actually look at our defense man for man, we've got a pretty decent defense. Frank was always going to improve that, and then we've made a further strengthening in signing Palhinha. So we've almost gone so heavy on strengthening the positions where actually we was not okay on, but we was half okay on, and the forward line was where we really struggled. And actually, that's where Ange in theory, because of his tactics, it worked miracles, scoring that amount of goals and creating that amount of assists, because we haven't got attackers that should be delivering these numbers.
It's
So
not,
I
it's
think
not, it's
that's
not
part
his
of the
fault.
problem.
It's not his fault. It's not his
No.
fault, Thomas Frank. He told us he was going to do the defense first anyway. He needs a creative midfielder, and that's not his fault. This is where he should have been given what he's given. You know what I mean? So he needs players that are creative midfielders that are able to just get going straight away. Know what their role is and just get on with it. You know what I mean? Not somebody that can change.
I mean, I said with Angie, he had the easiest job a manager has ever had in football in winning this fan base over. Kick the bloody ball forward and you won over 90% of the fan base. It was exactly that. A lot of people agreed with me in the end. On this one, I think he had a very easy job on sorting that defence out. Yeah, don't invert both wing backs and don't have them sitting on the bloody halfway line like an idiot would, like an idiot did, and cost us time and time again. Because that defence is not bad. I mean, if you... And the thing is, if you play us player for player, again, it's another one I've repeated so many times, but go and get an average team, get every player, or at least 10 of them 11, play into their position, play into what they're good at, get the formation right. You can make a very average team look like a bloody good team. Or you can twist it the other way and you can get a very good team, play everyone totally out of sync, play them to what they're not best at doing, and you can make a bloody good team look pretty crap.
Manchester United.
Alex,
at the minute, we are still strongest with 5 at the back, in my opinion, with wing backs, and then with 2 centre mids, and then I'd play 2 attacking midfield central and a striker. Yeah, reason I do that is because that's how I feel we've got the strongest players. But obviously, you're not going to do that every game. And this goes on to my next point of why Thomas Frank became Spurs manager. He's a very good coach. I think he's underrated. He can adapt. He's proven that already. And I think one of the main reasons why Levy loved him was to improve what we've already got and to do what Ange could never do come love nor money. And that was play with the cards he's got. And Frank can do that. Give Frank 2 players. Oh, he's not going to happy, but he will play with the cards he's got. He will get them playing to what they are best at to get the best result. He will not be so far stuck up his own arse that he can smell yesterday's dinner that he will only play it his way and every other player has to adapt to that one, yeah, when they blatantly can't. He's got the ability to do all that, basically. And that is why I think he was definitely a big... He suits Levy's foundations, basically, of there's your 2 players, deal with it. Not that he wants to be like that, but he can play with the cards he's got. Ange couldn't. And proved it time and time again because he would only play his way. Frank has already proved, and where he was, that he can play 3 or 4 different formations.
Yeah,
no, Alex,
I do agree with that.
I've got to ask a very good question. Sorry. So when I used to watch Conte Tottenham, right? Conte's Tottenham, I used to want to smash my head off a wall because I knew what was coming week in, week out. I was bored. There was nothing exciting. Nothing ever good was going to happen. It was just the same old routine, so slow, so boring. But I've got to say, a few minutes ago, did you say you find Frank's football boring?
Yeah.
I've got to be honest with you, brother. I've quite enjoyed the 3 games I've watched so far. I feel like we're quite nicely balanced. I've not been bored.
Alex, let me just ask you, what is entertaining? No, before you even, what is entertaining to you? What manager at Tottenham has been entertaining, barring Poch? Because that's too easy.
Harry Redknapp.
Conte on his first 6 months.
Harry Redknapp.
It sounds like you're the issue box office then, because we've had so many managers since then that have played and just what you said. I think Conte in his first 6 to 8 months, but before he actually came, before we went into that second season with him, because I think we didn't do enough in the transfer window. He's already pissed off. So
before Conte checked out, you mean? Before he checked out?
Yeah,
before he started to check out of himself. That was some of the best attacking football I've seen our club play in a long time.
Based on what?
Like, what do you mean based on what? Just on what I saw in my eyes, the combinations between Kane and Son.
Because of Kane and Son, that was it.
That's it, George. People think when you say 5 at the back, or call it 3 at the back, whatever you want. I say 5 at the back when I've got 3 at the back with 2 wing backs. Yeah, I just call it 5 at the back. Yeah. As soon as you say that, people think, oh, negative football, this and that, defensive football. No, it's not. Go and watch some of it and that, yeah. That can be the quickest counter-attacking football you get. You get the ball back there. You got the overlapping wing backs, 3 direct passes, you're up the other end of the pitch. or you can play a total different way. And a lot of Spurs supporters, again, oh no, Spurs have to play this way.
No,
we
but
have to play that way. We have to do this and that. And they don't want to accept difference. Alex, people complained and said last season they would rather lose 6-3
wait just a minute.
Instead of win 1-0.
I think we're misrepresenting what I've just said here. I said it is a bit boring to me because at the end of the day we don't have an attacking midfielder. We don't have midfielders that are able to do some things off the cuff. But
isn't he just getting the best out of what he's got?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think the problem is again. I think we're getting too emotional about the manager again.
No, Alex, the stats are there for you to see, brother. Listen, all 3 games we've not had less than 12 shots on goal, and all 3 games we've outshot every team.
The stats can do whatever you want, but my eyes are not lying to me at the moment.
But it would suggest
but the point I'm making is right. The goals that we score are only from mistakes or very, very quick transition goals. Right?
Well, you do not. If
you blink, you miss most of these goals.
Okay, but any high pressing team scores a lot of goals off the back of mistakes. That's literally their game.
Okay, cool, but I don't think that's beautiful. I don't think that's beautiful. I don't think that's beautiful at all. And the point I'm making is that that's not a knock on Frank. I think Frank he's doing dealing with what Dan says, going to Dan's point, dealing with the cards he's got. He's doing the best what he's with the defense, right? And which he's marshaled it very well. He's marshaled the team, set up the team very, very well with the cards he's got. So there's no knock about him being a coach. No, it's not. There's no knock about him at all.
Alex, do you actually care about the way we play, yeah? And again, last season, Spurs supporters, no, you have to play a certain way as such at Spurs. I want to see entertainment. I would rather lose 6-3 than scrimp and scrape a game 1-0. I never want to see Spurs like that. And then the majority of the idiots sat there and blatantly said, yes, we won that Europa Cup final. Brilliant. Love the way we did. Well, hang on a minute. Half of that lot who went and said that were the ones complaining, like other channels, were the ones complaining that Spurs have to play a certain bloody way. When it comes to it, I want to see good football. Obviously, you all do. But at the end of it, I really couldn't care less. As long as you win the game, that's all that matters for me. That is what a manager's job is. Not to play pretty football, to win a bloody game. And
there's no argument there. But
the thing is, pretty football is very subjective because, Alex, you're saying you haven't been entertained, but I'm pretty sure me, Benji, Luke, and Dan would tell you I've been very much entertained with the game. And quite literally, I think us keeping clean sheets is very entertaining to me. I don't know about you, but it's entertaining
because we've won. Because we've won.
No, we've not sat back and been peppered all game. That's what's nice about it.
That's the reason why you're saying that it's entertaining because we've won. If it was the other way around, you wouldn't be entertained. If it was the other way around of us losing those games,
was you entertained at Paris Saint-Germain?
It was all right. I mean, I would say
we play counter-attacking, pragmatic, direct football.
Exactly.
You weren't entertained.
It was pragmatic. Exactly, pragmatic. It wasn't like free-flowing attacking football, wasn't it?
It was actually very attacking. Every time we got the ball, Alex, it was 3 direct balls up there. It depends what you call attack.
It depends what you call attack. Like even Pep Guardiola, for instance, when he's first come around with his style of play, everyone said that was the most beautiful, unbelievable, most really great, like so enjoyable to watch. And now people are going, God, it's so boring because basically teams, because all teams are doing is they're
robotic,
So I feel like
it is robotic.
There's no expression anymore in football.
Did you block me in the chat? Because I've got to say some stuff in there because I'm sorry, they're going off at me right now. Well, cool.
Of course, mate. You'd never be blocked.
You're
box office.
Sorry, because they're all having a go at me. So I have to defend myself.
Joe, massive thank you, mate. Another new member to the channel, much appreciated. Thank you, sir. No, I listen. I don't think his football's boring at all. I think that my worry would be that what happened at PSG, the last 5 minutes, that happens too often. But I think that's unfair to label that at him because we haven't delivered him. And Dan, I think you're right. This squad is set up to play with that 5 at the back. The problem he has is that we don't have enough good attacking players for there to only be 3 of them. We need 4 of them in attacking positions to occupy people. Sar's not a typical 10, but he's so good at taking people away from where we're supposed to be. He's running off the ball. Now, if you went and you had Kudus, you had, I don't know, and Richarlison, let's just say, and you had, I'm not going to say the people that we've just missed out on, but Xavi Simmons. Let's say that they're your three. You would go, well, actually, as a front three, I think they've got enough to be able to offer something.
Exactly.
Whereas if you noticed with PSG, we kind of had mainly it was Richie, and it was Kudus, and that was it, because we haven't got anything else. So if you've got good attacking players, then yes, I think that the five at the back would be probably utilised more, which acts slightly differently, because I'm saying if they were better in attack, we'd be better in defence. But I think that's part of it. I think that we haven't delivered him the tools that he needs. Now,
I agree.
Fabrizio Romano has had an absolute stinker, possibly as bad as Spurs when it comes to this window. But he said that Spurs do expect to sign 2 forward players before the transfer window ends. So in terms of forward players, in my eyes, I don't see another attacker coming in. It looks like Newcastle have wrapped up I'm not even going to try and pronounce his name. George smashed it earlier, but they're also saying that he might sign Wissa as well. So I don't think we're going in for a striker. I think it's forwards. I think that's who we're going in for. We're going in for wingers and we're going in for cams.
A left winger and a 10 man. That's
got to be.
I think we need somebody who, for one, and this is what I didn't like with, like, as much as I really rated Savinho, and I thought he'd be way better than any of the players we had on that wing. My only problem with that signing was another 21-year-old. I feel like we need to go and get a player like Lookman, who would be
no,
and he's not a goal scorer. He's not a goal scorer either. He scored 1 goal in the Premier League at bloody Man City.
No, but there's a difference between signing a 20-year-old Tell and a 21-year-old Savinho. The difference in quality is night and day. I'm sorry.
No one's arguing that.
Lookman. Did you say no to Lookman?
Lookman's a good player.
No, that's definitely not.
Oh, no, yeah. So for me, that would be like the signing we should go to, because he's, 28 years old. He's a player who's scoring goals. He scores 10, 15 goals every season. That's who we need to pair up with the Tell and Odobert. So Tell and Odobert know how they can polish his game, because he's a guy who's been in the Premier League, I think, 3 times. He's had Fulham, Everton, and Leicester when he was younger, and none of them really worked out for him. But those made him into the player he is now, where he's scoring hat-tricks in Europa League finals.
He's a very respected player in Italy, and what he's done for Atalanta is very good. Could he come over to the Premier League and do it again? Well, that's the chance you take with every buy you make then, isn't it, basically? And if you go and look at it, I think we're shopping in the wrong place at the moment. Italy is the place to shop. They are up shit street when it comes to money at the moment. Yeah. If you look at about, I think it's now 5 of their teams, when I last looked, that have actually spent over 40 million in money. They might have spent 100 million, but they've also had 80 million come through the window as well, basically, yeah? The money out there at the moment is very few and far between. I mean, the biggest spenders out there, what is it? Copa, because they've got owners who have got 58 billion pounds between them, yeah?
That's Como, isn't it? That's the one that we're
Como, that's it, yeah. And again, Paz, another player I don't think we should go for. Why? Because he's had a good season. You can see his quality, but he's had a good season. I want to go for players that are more established. Yeah. And people keep, again, Savinho, great player, better than what we got and everything. But we keep talking, well, Spurs supporters keep saying we need a goal scorer. Well, I'm sorry, at Man City, even the way they play, their wingers usually score more than a goal in a season, yeah? And so are we then going to put everything onto Richarlison and Solanke, 2 of the most bang average strikers you can possibly get? Okay, Richarlison, I'll give him that. I think his goal was as good as Buddy Bale's goal against Liverpool in the Champions League final. But we all know Richarlison is going to be in a wheelchair in about 3 or 4 weeks. It's just the way it is with him. Maybe he's not, but I'll put significant money on it. We all know he's also an inconsistent player. He's not a consistent goal scorer. And Solanke, for me, is just another bang average player. So are we going to get these ones that are going to try and be wingers to create? And then all our goals are going to relate basically on, hopefully, that a Johnson can pop in here and there, on a Solanke and Richarlison, who Solanke I don't think has ever scored above 13 goals in a season. It might be 14. And
no, Solanke got 19, didn't he?
No, Richarlison, sorry. Who's only ever, I think the most he's had is 13 or 14. And then you look at Solanke, how long's he been playing football? He has had 1 good season in his entire career. 1
in top flight football, yeah. He scored a few in the Championship, didn't he? But yeah, in top flight.
And I'll give him a gold medal. You know, we said that a player can do it in a lower league, but they can't do it in the higher league, so they're obviously not up for it. Solanke has had 1 good season.
Cat Funt, massive thank you for becoming a YouTube member.
Hard to say that one, isn't it? Hard to say
the
that
way
one.
Sam
Stab,
pronounces
yeah.
it.
Throws me off every
Oh my
time.
God.
Funt, Cat Funt. Massive thank you. Appreciate that. We've had a few members join today, so thank you for everyone. So just going on to a couple of things that have been mentioned in the last literally about 10-15 minutes ago. Apparently there has been some rumours that Leicester are interested in taking Mano Solomon. Maybe we could do a little bit of a swap deal, bring Winks or Skipping if anyone's up for that. But it does look like we can finally get rid of some of these players. The Bissouma deal seems to have fallen through. But there was a couple of other things. So where was it? It was mainly few people have actually mentioned it in the chat, and rumours did swirl up a little bit, I think, yesterday. Obviously, it looks as if we're going to miss out on the left centre-back that people wanted in Hincape. However, it looks like Ake and or Akanji are available. What's everyone's thoughts on these two players? For me, I don't understand why Spurs aren't all over it. But what's everyone's thoughts? Akanji, Ake, do you have a preference?
They're both class, really, aren't they? I don't think you can take away from either one, and they're both Premier League proven. I heard a rumour that Akanji was going to go for 15 million. That can't be right, surely.
Galatasaray, yeah, they accepted.
No
it.
way. How old is he? What was he, 30, 29, 30?
He's about 30, 31.
180 he's on. He's on 180 grand a week.
If you're getting in Aki, I think you need to get rid of one of the defenders then, or
no, Vuskovic is gone.
No, he'd cover Van der Ven, wouldn't he? He's the left
Dragon
side.
He would cover the left side, so it would
and he
left
also
just
left
further
back.
down.
Also left back.
I'll get rid of Davis then.
I don't think Davies is going anywhere. I think he'll just see out his contract for the year, innit? So I'm not really worried about that. But I think Ake is good. I'll be honest. I think Ake is good, but I think we could definitely go get better. Now, obviously, it depends on the price range. If we need, like I said, Premier League proven, and it's going to cost us 20 mil, 25 mil, then you can't really go wrong, innit? It's a decent signing. And for what we need right now, he's going to be a backup. You can't say no. But would Ake leave City's backup to become Spurs backup? But that, I don't know. I don't really. It don't seem very appealing.
I don't see him as a backup. I see him as someone that's going to compete. Because
it depends how you want to play at the back. Yeah, if you want to play free at the back, great. But again, this one comes down to opinionated again. Yeah, I don't like the fact of playing Van der Ven and Romero together for the fact that they're two ball-playing defenders. I would rather. This is just me personally. Yeah, I would rather be sitting there with Danzo and then one of them two. Why? Because I want a ball-playing defender, but I want a no-nonsense centre-back as well that's going to put his wife and kid in front of the bloody ball if he has to. You know? And that's just the way I prefer football. And
I agree with you.
When you're playing free at the back, that works brilliant with Danzo in the middle, and then you can have two ball-playing wing-back, centre-backs and everything. And I don't think Ake's a bad call if you want some more depth on there, and I think he's also got the quality to fight for the... I think he's got the quality to fight in there for a place with Van der Ven and Romero, because the other problem we have with Romero, even though on his day he's a world-class player, he's one of the most inconsistent centre-backs in the Premier League, most probably, in my opinion. And I think he's an extremely overrated player for the reason being that he'll have a 10, an 8, and then he'll have a 2, a 5, a 4, a 10, a 9, a 4, a 2. And this is where I'm hoping that captain brings him up a level as such, or another player coming in.
I think it's availability, mate. I think if he's available all the time, then I think he's that's part of inconsistency, is the fact he's not available, he's not played, he's in, he's out.
In our first game, who did we play our first game? Burnley, yeah. He was absolute crap. He was a 4 or 3 Romero. He was a 3 or 4 at his bloody best, and he's meant to be captain. But then against Man City, he turns up and he had an excellent game. He seems to turn up for the big games. But when it comes to the smaller games, it seems like he can't be bothered. They're not big enough for him. But then if you're going to be captain, you got to turn up for 9 out of 10 of those games. And this is why I have a problem with Romero there. And someone like Eke coming in, it's another fight for a place, basically, where maybe it can push him to keep his act together if the manager has got the bottle to say, sorry, mate, That's 2 games you've now had, 3 games you've now had, Paul, which he has done many a time. I'm going to drop you for this one. And this is how we see how Thomas Frank works.
I don't
think
mind
Danzo is a very good player. I think he's actually quite underrated.
Don't say that. Don't say that to Jules, because when I said about Danzo, he's like, oh no, because it's all about Romero.
You said no. What you said, and this is Alex said Danzo should be captain. That's what.
I did say that. I did say
Alex
that.
should
Yeah,
be
I
our.
did.
He should.
Yes,
You
I
said
did.
Danzo
I
should
did
be
say
our
that.
captain, and I did disagree with you heavily because he's a player who's been in our club
but
for
you
4
said
months.
You
said as well that you said I was mad to saying that Danzo's
mad to
not.
saying that.
And I said Danzo shouldn't be in the team ahead of Romero. You said, even though
You
Romero's up and down.
He's not up and down. He's had
Well,
up and down moments in very bad structures, but I think in the Thomas Frank team, you're going to see Romero only up. It's no reason, or there's no surprises why whenever he plays for Argentina, he gets the plaudits of being one of the best defenders.
Then why was he? Then why was he absolutely crap against Burnley?
Yeah,
Romero.
mate, you can use that.
Romero was terrible.
I don't think he was great against Burnley, but I think what you're saying, Dan, is that you want to have it. It's all about partnerships, right? And you're saying you don't want to have 2 ball-playing players next to each other.
That's just the way I would play personally.
So,
I hear that. Yeah. I do get that.
So that's a different thing than saying that I think Danzo's a better defender or should be starting.
I think he's a total different type of defender.
Yeah.
Total different type.
He's a different type of defender, but he's the better defender than Romero, though. Let's be honest.
Do you know what I think? I think the problem you get with Romero, right, is he on his day. I feel like he's a world-class defender. I mean, agree. I believe he's won what 3 of the 4 finals he's been in, if I'm not mistaken. So he is a big game player. He's a big fish.
4 of the 5, I think it is.
Okay, well there you go. That's the guy is a born winner. That's what he does. He turns up in the big games. But Dan, I completely agree. He does have a massive consistency problem. However, what I'm hoping for this season, being the club captain, getting a new contract across the line, I'm hoping that phases out over the season. That's what I'm hoping for, Romero.
So what do we want? Do we want a Fernandes? Do we want a Fernandes sort of captain?
No. But this point here is massively underrated, and especially when you're missing out the playmakers in the team. The way that Romero can bring the ball out and the way that he can play is so impactful on the team. And I think when he doesn't play, it will be against games for this sort of thing. It's when you're playing against the real top ones that you're trying to unlock that you'll notice the big difference. Whereas Danzo, I think, is a very, very good option. And I think if he comes in, I'm not sitting there going, oh my God, they've got Danzo. But there's a difference between if you're going into, let's use like a Real Madrid, we're going to Real Madrid away. Romero's one of the first I want on that team sheet. I'm like, he's going to be up for this.
That.
But the thing is, with Danzo, you'll get a higher match rating across the whole season, which is, again, what's really frustrating.
But again, we haven't seen a lot of people revert to Ange's tactics and say that he left people being up. So is it a case of we only see Danzo in parts? Like, so is it a case of actually, if Danzo was to have played, would he have been better in that? Like, we don't really know.
Do you think Romero slows the game down a bit sometimes?
That's the point.
When he gets the ball, and actually takes a bit of time.
Yeah.
I think he does actually slow the game sometimes, where he should get the ball and already knows what he wants to do. But he gets the ball a few times and then slows right down.
But he slows it down because sometimes that, like, the lack of the lack of progression from the midfield. Like when you talk about that Burnley game, I probably suggest you're talking about that first half when he was trying to progress the ball constantly. He's the one that's stepping up into the midfield, trying to make the line breaking pass. And that's the problem, is he's being forced to make some of these decisions and forced the way through because we didn't have no one in front of him playing.
Under Ange, yes, he had Paulinho. He had the other players in front of him doing it. He stepped up that far that if it wasn't for Van der Ven, he would have got totally cooked.
But we must know that was Ange's tactics, though, because no matter who,
against Burnley, that wasn't the tactics, and he still got cooked nearly 4 times in the first, what was it, bloody 25 minutes. They went straight past him while he was sitting right up the other end.
I don't think he had a great game.
Up the halfway. He had a terrible game.
I mean, I don't think he's trying to be creative midfielder when he's not a creative midfielder, he's a defender. You know what I mean? You might as well put him as a defensive midfielder.
On his day, he's world class. On his day, there's no two ways about it. My only problem is with him is his consistency. And I bet you if you put 2 players next to him, like him and Danzo, and he's significantly better than Danzo all day long, but Danzo is what I call an old school John Terry sort of style player. No piss balling about, get the job done. Yeah? You go and put them 2 together over a season and you play them over the games. and then you put the points together as such, like rated on every game, if you get where I'm coming from. I bet you Danzo has a better season than Romero.
Yeah,
Why?
he would.
Because Romero will have a 10, a 9, a 5, a 4, a 2, a 2, a 10, a 10, a 2, a 1. Whereas Danzo, you'll see literally a 7 every game with maybe a 6 and an 8.
The only thing that I would say about that is that there's been loads of centre-backs that have moved this year. There's been loads of them. Liverpool are still looking as well. And if that was the case, then they would be going for Danzo, because Danzo's not going to start at Spurs. So Liverpool, for instance, they want to get Konate's going. They need a centre-back. They're not going for Danzo. They're going for Gay. If Danzo was that level, then the top teams would be looking at him, because he won't be expensive, because Spurs are not going to ask for an absolute fortune. I know he's only been here 6 months, but if Real Madrid come calling for Danzo and said you're going to start, best believe he's leaving. Of course he will. So if Danzo was that level, then the top clubs that all looked, PSG, Munich, I think Munich tried to sign centre backs, Real Madrid, Liverpool, they're all looked at centre backs. Nobody's looked at Danzo, and that's because he's steady, he's good. He's going to give you 6, 7s every week, but he's not a Romero level.
And the thing is, we even saw sly worrying signs when we had the 1v1 of Barcola versus Danso. Barcola started off that first half cooking Danso in that PSG game. He had him down that flank, running him and dragging him by his tail. Danso is good, but we've not seen Danso consistently come up against good players. We've seen him play in games in moments when a lot of the times, we've had back threes in this time. And then when he did play in the back four, didn't he only play, 7, 8 games but towards the end of the season before he got injured? There wasn't even much for us to take off, because he's playing in games when he's either getting subbed on or he's just starting randomly. And to be fair, when he didn't have a great performance, a lot of people are just giving him leeway because, he's only just come into the team with the Ange system. And so the judgment of his actual performance isn't the same as what you would judge Romero. So I think for me, Romero is such a good centre back, and I think this season he'll prove it.
On his day, I agree. But
and even
Romero's
the consistency, I think he'll pick up the consistency.
I hope he does.
I think he will.
But again, it's one of those things. What you're saying to me is you think, and no one can say he is or he isn't. I can't sit here and say he won't, but I would like to see it. As all I'm asking of Romero is consistency. I think that is what lets him down as a player. Because on his day, if people listen to what I said to again, he is a world-class centre-back. But he doesn't do enough to be a world-class player.
He's not.
Just because you have a few world-class games, just because I think people use world-class way too easy, yeah? Now, to be world-class for me, you have to be consistent as well, not just be able to have a world-class game. And as all he does, I say as all, is have a world-class game here and there, yeah? And then he has a few good games. And then at times he's been one of our worst players on the pitch. I just want to see consistency off of him. I think he's a very good player. But that's why I say that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's why I say that I think I see more consistency of Danzo than Romero. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think we hold Romero to a higher regard. Well,
because of the board. Because I've got to let Ben say something because he was going to come in. But it's like yeah, he's just consistency. That's what I look at as a defender. Consistency. That's what you want in a defender, because that's what is going to get you clean sheets. Consistency. You know what I mean? Sorry, that Ben, you weren't.
No, it was nothing important. I just wanted to say I'm pretty sure the entire panel would just agree that it is a pleasure to have a player like Danzo in reserve, right?
100%.
Yeah.
I think I think that's the level you need behind your top players, don't you? Really?
I think he's your perfect man in a back three. I think he's your perfect.
Well, if you listen to Alex, he thinks that Dragusin and Davies are perfect back two. So you
they were good last season. They were better than Romero and Van der Ven last season. Because Romero and Van der Ven were hardly fit last season. So I don't know what we're doing there.
There's Ben Davies.
Dragusin in Italy. Did anyone actually watch him?
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Who actually watched him in Italy?
No, I see him for Romania. He looked good in the back three.
Yeah.
The problem is with him, he's another old school centre back. He's not good at being a ball playing defender. He's a
or in a high line.
And not exactly, he hasn't got the flexibility for it. For him to turn around, he needs to do a proper horseshoe, where someone like Van der Ven or even Romero can literally spin it and come back. Again, total different players, basically. Yeah, that's why I like the best of both worlds in there, sort of thing. Because the other problem is, Van der Ven has got to be one of the worst defenders I have ever seen when it comes to heading a ball. He's nearly 6'3", 6'4", and he is absolute crap in the air. He gets done by people like that ain't even 6 foot, for God's sake. Yeah.
But attacking wise, in the attacking box, he's good though. In the attacking box, he's good though, Dan. To be
not
fair.
in the air, he's not in the air. That is his weak spot. Yeah. Whereas in other places, he's extremely good player. Romero isn't strong in the air either. He's not as bad. But
no, he is strong in the air. He just loses his man a lot, I've noticed.
Yeah, he's on the attacking. Romero always wins corners,
Well, he
headers
wins
in
a
the
lot,
attacking
yeah.
sense.
To
It's
Benton
only
caused
defending.
massively
Do you
underrated
know what
on
it is
that.
though? Naturally, if anyone has played football, you know defending the header is a lot harder than attacking the header because you're running onto it when you're attacking it rather than standing still and trying to sort of gauge where it's going to land. So it is harder to defend, but man defense horrible. And
whereas you look at Danso and you look at Dragusa, they are absolutely solid in the air, the pair of them. This is why I just try and weigh a defense out. But again, that's just personal opinion at the end of the day. And that's where I still think Spurs are made for a back five, not a bloody other formation. But again, on the Romero bit, as all I'm asking for is consistency from him.
Yeah. I think he needs that this year.
bloody...
I think he needs that this year. I don't think that's an unfair point. And I think Ben's bang on like that. I think this is the sort of squad, when we talk about squad depth, this is the sort of thing that we need. Like bringing in, as I say, I don't go into games and go, oh my God, Danto's playing. Whereas I'm sure there are other players where you go, oh my God, like if he needs to be on it today because we're going to really struggle, whatever. So obviously that is the kind of defensive side of things. I didn't realize the time we have been going on for nearly an hour and 50 minutes. So let's move on to the big news that broke today in terms of Xavi Simmons. There are a couple of other rumours coming out today about Conor Gallagher and that sort of thing. But the big talking point is obviously Xavi Simmons. The rumour is that Spurs have got to, well, depending on where you look, different sources, but some are saying that we have essentially got the deal quite close. However, now some are saying that is he just doing probably similar to what Eze done in terms of waiting for another club to come in. What's everybody's thoughts on Xavi Simmons? Jules, I'll start with you because I know you need to shoot. We will be wrapping up shortly, guys. But Jules, we'll start with you. Xavi Simmons.
I'll keep it short and simple. Perfect player for what we need in the system. I'll be honest. When we looked at the likes of Gibbs White, we looked at Eze. Or I'd say less Gibbs White because he's actually really good at progressing the ball through passing. I'm a bit strange as to why we're looking at more ball carriers. I feel like we didn't need a ball carrier in central midfielder. I feel like we needed someone who can break the line with their passing. We've got Kulusevski, who in the tens of ball carrier. We've got Kudus, and potentially we're looking at left wingers who are going to be strong ball carriers. So I feel like even the profiling of Eze it was wrong as opposed to Simmons, who is very good at ball carrying again, but his all-round ability to just create he's a natural creator. He's somebody who's always going to get goals, always going to get assists because a lot of his actions come in the final third. He also does like to drop deep, and that's one thing where a lot of people were not happy with what Maddison was doing last year, is when he does drop deep, he wasn't having the same required impact. So I think Xavi Simmons is the perfect type of sign for what we need. When you look at the age profile, he's 22, 23. So he's coming on to those ages where you expect for him to reach his peak. I think the only issue is regarding whether he actually really wants Tottenham. And I'll be honest here, like players of that quality who come from Barcelona, go to PSG, there probably is a point of where he does think he's bigger than Tottenham because he was in Barcelona's academy. He went to PSG. So he feels like he should be playing at the top of the level. He feels like he's better than Tottenham. That's not a problem. We just need a player who can come here and get us through the next couple of years. And if he wants to make the bigger move to Barca, Real Madrid in 3 seasons, I'm fine by me. Honestly, it's fine. Like, it's cool. But for what we need right now, Xavi Simmons is perfect. And I think this would be an amazing signing.
I just want to also say as well, like we're sitting here and criticizing certain things that the way Spurs operate, and obviously they have made mistakes in this window 100%. But guys, if we're targeting this level of player, you're going to miss out on them on occasions because you're fighting with top clubs. Whereas all of our other signings, and again, no disrespect to Danso, we stole him off Wolves. So when we come in, it's a different level. So they're going, well, that's where I'm going to go. And it's the same thing. Unfortunately, we're in that sort of situation where we're in that say you've got that mid cluster and we're at the top of it. Now we're trying to break that top cluster. Well, guess what? You're now at the bottom of that. So there are going to be players that we miss out on. The thing is that it shouldn't be so public. Like we should be doing this in private where everyone doesn't know about it. But unfortunately, if you're targeting this level of player who are all of the top clubs are chasing, we're going to miss out more often than we're probably going to sign. and we just have to deal with that. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter who the owner is. It doesn't matter what the wages are on most occasions. It's literally going to be a case of they're going to these clubs that are going to compete year on year. And unless we start getting into that situation where we're competing year on year, this is going to be our situation for a period of time. So I completely agree. I think he's definitely one of the, in terms of how good he is he probably the best signing since Van der Vaart? Are people saying? I'd say.
Do
Van der Vaart.
you know what? I've sorry, Dan, do you want to go first, mate?
No, mate, go for it.
No, I've followed his career with a great deal of interest. So he played 10 games at PSG and was considered surplus requirements, and he was let go. Now, for me, what he did next shows quite a bit of character. You know, he went to PSV, scored 23 goals and got 8 assists, smashed it out of the park. Moved on to Germany and got double figures for his GA, both seasons. Unbelievable, fantastic. However, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, it is a pipe dream. He's not coming to Tottenham. And you know what it is? It's the hope that kills you. So can we just please not let this happen again? We've had it 3 times already. Let it go. All right, he's not coming. You know it, I know it.
What's happened to you over the last couple of weeks? You were so positive before. You was going, we're going to sign them all. We're going to win the lot. And now within 3 weeks, he's going, we're not signing anyone.
Oh, because you know
he's been on my channel too much.
Fool me once, fool me twice. I can't anymore. I'm done.
You
first. The thing is with Simmons, yeah, and the thing I really like about him as such, yeah, is when he does play. I mean, he plays on the wings, doesn't he? But he also plays as a 10 as well.
Yeah.
He plays as a 10 mainly from what I've seen, yeah. He's got what a lot of 10s don't really have anymore. Now, I told people for over a year and a half that Kulusevski is not a winger. He's a number 10. He is, but he's not a playmaker number 10.
Shadow striker.
He's either an attacking midfielder number 10 or a shadow striker. He's that one, get him the ball, charge forward, have a shot or charge forward. Whereas you look at Maddison, and I think this is where Simmons has got similarities to Maddison and Eriksen. They already knew what they wanted to do with the ball and who to pass it to before it even hit their feet. They was always like a game of chess, 1, 2, 3 steps ahead. They had it in there because to be a playmaker, you got to be able to, pardon me, you got to be able to see 1 step ahead. The problem Maddison had was, again, our clown manager tactics of having a number 10 there as a playmaker and having 2 centre mids behind him, 2 wingers inside him, 2 wing backs into him, and he had no space to do anything. Yeah, you give someone like a good playmaker space, that's what they need. They disappear for part of the game, but then when they appear, they're the ones who make that magic pass as such. I think Simmons has got that capability of knowing what he wants to do with the ball before he gets the ball. Whereas someone like Kulusevski gets the ball, then looks what to do with the ball.
Yeah, I don't
if you see where I'm coming across.
Andy, I wasn't saying wages don't matter. What I was saying is, like, if we offer anywhere near the same, then a lot of these clubs, they're just going to go, well, I'm going there.
Then,
so
look, it's in that aspect, this is where I have this debate with Sav all the time. Yeah. Now, I agree. A lot goes on in a transfer, over a transfer and everything else. But personally, I'm still a firm believer of money talks and everybody has a price. Yeah. Now, at the end of the day, if you're going to get Chelsea or Arsenal come up against Spurs there and then, the most we can do is offer that other club better money because the club will take the money at the end of the day.
I agree with that.
Who the player wants to go to, and we don't do it. And also offer the wages. Right. You want 180 grand a week. That's what you've just said to me. Do you know what? There's 200 grand. Now make your decision. Give them something that's harder to turn down. Now,
I think it's different. I think it's different with clubs. I think it's different with clubs and wages. So, like, fees and wages are different. So, if we're offering 200, then the other club's not offering 100. Like, they're going to be offering 180, 190. So, I think
that's what I was about to say. Yeah. The other club comes in like Chelsea, Arsenal, or City and whatever, you're just not going to win. But that's why in a deal like Eze, instead of piss balling about like we did, if we'd have done it 2 weeks earlier, said, do you know what do you want, Palace? Well, we want this, this, and this. Okay, I'll give you that and another 3 million. Okay, Eze, what do you want? I want 180 grand. Right, there's 200 grand.
Yeah.
It's that bit more of a give them an offer that's a bit harder to turn down before someone steps in. But if someone else does step in, if Chelsea step in or whatever, then I don't deny it. We're screwed. But there's been many a times now where we've had players on basically there.
Yeah.
And we've piss-balled about with the money so much and not just put the bloody money on the table and lost players because of it, or because we've messed about with their wages and tried doing this and tried doing that. And then another club comes in out of nowhere and says, right, bang, there's the money they want, there's the wages they want, job done. If we did that, I think there's more deals that we would get done. But we come up against Chelsea, Arsenal, City, we're going to get done either way. But do you see what I'm saying? Put the money on the bloody table, act quicker, give them a deal that's harder to turn down, and you might get something done before the other club steps in.
And that is a way that we're going to have to operate to get these players that if we're targeting at a higher level with. That is the bottom line of it. We're going to have to do that because, as again, with all due respect, it's horrible to say, but we can't compete with these other teams. We just can't at this moment in time. Now, over a period of time, you can change that, and if you go and win another trophy, and then you finish top 4, and you do that for a couple of years, then people start going, "Oh, they are a club that we want to go to." But right now, if we're coming up against the top players, the top clubs, then we are going to be at the bottom of that food chain. That's the simple fact.
I get that.
And unfortunately, that's just the crux of it because of the players that we want to target. And if we don't target these players, we're never going to break into that top 4. So again, someone put it in the chat. It's a catch-22, but it shouldn't be so public. That's the big
on another side of it, I think the other thing everybody's different, yeah? And I think too many people still think that football players play football because they love football. No, with a lot of players, it's a bloody job. Yeah, they might like their football, but I don't think a lot of players have the same love for the game like they did 20 years ago as such, yeah? Not saying they don't love the game or like the game, whatever and that, but to a lot more of them these days, I think there's a lot more players out there that are more mercenary than they used to be 20 years ago. And there's a lot more players that are actually looking at football as a job and a bit of love sort of thing, whereas others used to play it purely because they loved it as such. This is where, again, money talks for me, yeah? If you put down a good enough deal for someone that they can't turn down, okay, you get Chelsea, Man City come in, there's a very high chance you don't win it. But I'm sure there is still players out there that if you offer them an extra 40, 50 grand a week over Man City or whatever, and then they can look at you and say, right, I'm going to get consistent game time with you. I still think there is players that we can go for and possibly, big possibly, win that battle against some of the bigger teams as such. Because players do think different.
If you're quick, you don't have to win the battle. If you're quick, you don't have to win the battle. You walk in, you slam the money down, you pay what the player wants, away you go. That's it.
But it looks like we're doing that with Simmons. It looks like we've from all the talk is that we've matched everything Chelsea has. So we're matching them, and then what you just said, Dan. What we're saying to him is, come here and be the main guy. You're going to be the main guy.
I'm saying.
At Chelsea, you're not going to be the main guy, but come to us and we will build the team around you. You're young, you're experienced, you're ready to come. So that's exactly going to be what our sale is at this moment in time. But obviously, that you get one over the line, then you get 2 over the line. I'm not saying after a days, I'm saying over transfer windows. Next in January, you get another big player over the line. That's why Romero signing. I think top players will look at that and go, "Well, Romero's staying. They've just brought in Kudus. They've just brought in, let's say, a Simmons. Right, actually, Spurs might be going semi-serious here. They're offering me decent wages. This is a club that I can actually see me go into and being like I still don't understand why players are going Chelsea. Like Garnacho's just gone to Chelsea. They've just signed Gittins. He's on the bench. Neto starts, and now they've just going to sign another left winger. I'm just sitting there going, what? Like I just don't get it. Like go and play football somewhere. It's just crazy. But
and that's all I'm saying with it, Luke. Yeah, I'm not judging everybody the same. I'm saying that people are different. This is why with some people it would work, and other players it isn't going to work. And other players do have the major passion for it. Other players do play it as a bloody job. And there's even players out there that we know that even say they don't even like football, but do it as a job, basically. And that there's a bit of everything out there. Everybody is different. So there is going to be that player here and there that I personally believe you offer him more money, he will come to you. But then there's going to be the other ones who want to go to the bigger team to win. But there's going to be other ones that maybe they can't really be bothered to put the same sort of effort in to bloody get a game here and there at Man City or at Arsenal or at Chelsea or at whoever, yeah, and come to Spurs and know, do you know what? I'm going to get that number 10 position every bloody day. And this is where I'm saying everybody's different.
Yeah,
but
no, I completely agree.
But money does talk at the end of the day. It's like when we go for a player, for instance, Arsenal offer 70 million and what Palace wanted. Okay, we turn around, we offer exactly what the way Palace want it. There's another 7 million. Palace ain't talking to Arsenal now. Palace talking to Spurs. Eze might want to go Arsenal, but who's the one who makes the decision on whether he can or can't leave? Okay, he might not accept it, whatever else. But again, I feel that gives you that advantage again, because now they've got to up the money. It's like being on eBay, basically, to an extent. A club will go for whoever offers the most money at the end of the day. They're not going to sell the player for 8 million less just because the player wants to go there as such.
Yeah.
Unless he's only got a year left on his contract or something. This is where I'm saying everything is different.
I don't remember, Alex. Did you say you think we get the deal over the line, or I don't think you've mentioned it yet.
I think it's a smoke screen. I don't think he's going to Tottenham. I think he's going to Chelsea.
Right. So let me change the question then. So, A, do you think we're getting Simmons, and then B, how many players do you think that we will get over the line before the end of the window? And we'll wrap up just before let me do it now. So Himothy on X, which some people believe, some people say is not reliable. He tweeted 5 hours ago saying Xavi Simmons is close to signing for Tottenham Hotspur. As Secret Prem has said, he was at Hotspur way today. Spurs are growing in confidence that they can complete the deal. And then that was 5 hours ago. And then 4 minutes ago, he tweeted the eyes and the hourglass emoji, hinting that time is obviously soon, essentially. So now with that information, because that's going to change everyone's opinion, obviously, because we're going to jump on bandwagons because that's what we do.
No.
Are we getting Simmons, and how many players do you think we will actually get in before the end of the window, Alex?
I don't think we're getting Simmons. I think it's a smoke screen for Chelsea to go and get him, because he's been flirting with Chelsea for so long now. And to be honest with you, I don't really want him because I don't really know what his incentives of coming to Tottenham is at the moment. So, because I think for me, in the next few years, you'll end up like Isaac. You know what I mean? Like saying, well, so I want to go off to Chelsea or whatever he wants to go. So for me, I don't think it's going to happen. And I don't know. I don't think we're going to get anybody in, to be honest with you right now.
You don't think nobody? You don't think nobody?
I don't think nobody. No, the only one that I was thinking about right now is maybe Paqueta, but I think that's quite in the pipe dream at the moment. I don't mind. Paqueta,
Alex, they want 60 mil for him, brother. That's a lot of dough.
I know, but I just don't. I think if we get a signing, it's something unexpected as far as I'm concerned. But for me at the moment, I just don't. I don't see anything happening right now. I think Thomas Frank might have to deal with what he's got at the moment, as far as I'm concerned.
On the positive side, guys, it can only get better because Alex has gone no and none. So,
in that side, Luke, I think it's another one that if we're sitting here right and now, and the deal's basically nearly there, we know Chelsea are interested. Let's say he wants 180 grand, random thing.
Yeah.
Okay, tell you what. I know Chelsea are looking and everything. Now, I'm not saying this totally works, but it can only go in your favour as far as I'm concerned here. Like, okay, we've got the deal, 180, this and that. That's getting paid, done with the club, everything. Levy, right. Simmons, do you know what? Come here now, you get 220. Personally, I think, and then the player sits there like, right, what do I do? Do I do this? Do I do that? Do I wait for Chelsea? That can just be that extra little push that makes the player come over, and then all of a sudden it's too late for Chelsea because it's done or whatever, or Chelsea come in and offer more.
He's still been flirting with Chelsea. He's been flirting with Chelsea all bloody.
Okay, but the question remains though: why has he not gone to Chelsea?
Well, that's
they've been floated for 2 weeks.
They had to free up.
funds. The free up funds. Because the thing is, though, when Luke says, "Oh, well, it's got to be better than what I've said just now." What evidence has said that we're going to get top players in? Because let's be honest here, right? We've been waiting for how many years now? The point is, though, right? He's been flirting with Chelsea for so long now, right? I think we've gone and got an opportunity. Great, okay, credit to them. They've gone and tried to get an opportunity. Brilliant, but at the end of the day, Chelsea would have done what Arsenal did with Eze. Said, done the crutch of the deal already, right? And Chelsea are not going to let someone that they want to go to Tottenham. Their rivals, they're hard-hitting rivals. They're not going to do it, right? If they let somebody if they let somebody else go to Tottenham, they're not a very good player.
No, I just think Chelsea have that option of doing it and they have that power of doing it. Again, we come down to the player's mentality, and this is where I keep saying everybody is different. Now, okay, let's say we offer the same money, same wages, everything else. You'd say 8 times out of 10 the player would go Chelsea. But you don't know what that player's like. You don't know what his mentality is like. We don't know who he is. He could look at Chelsea and say, right, I'm going to have to fight day in, day out to get into that squad, let alone get into that first 11.
Did you know what Willian was like then?
And yeah, but I'm just saying, Alex, people are different. Yeah.
Did you know what Hazard was like?
He might sit there and say, do you know what? Maybe I will go over to that side because I've got a World Cup coming up this year and I need to get consistent football. I'm going to walk into that team, and I'm going to get consistent and I'm going to get consistent game time. And then in 2 years' time, I can use Spurs as a stepping stone and we end up sending him for 100 million. Yeah. Anything can happen in that aspect. We don't know how a player thinks, but if you go logically and everything, you're going to say most of the time he's going to go Chelsea or City or whatever else. But that is where I say put that own bit of money in. And the other part I say with you, Alec, I don't give a toss whether the player wants to be here or not. Yeah. Do you know what? I don't care what he does off the pitch either. Just don't get caught on camera doing it. If he wants to go out with his mates and have a bit of fun, go and bloody do it. Do you know what I mean? If he wants to be off the pitch, be a bloody unicorn, go and bloody do it. Be a lamppost. I don't care. But as soon as you play on the pitch, as long as you play properly and give it your all, that's all I'm bothered about. Whether the player is our first, whether he's first or second choice, I couldn't care less. As long as he delivers on the pitch, that's all I care about, mate.
But the point I'm making is though, Dan, he's been flirting with bloody Chelsea for a reason. You know what I mean? So I'd just like to see what his motivation is coming to Tottenham at the end of the day.
Dan, I think to be fair, mate, I agree with Alex. I actually think the way Xavi Simmons' career has panned out, I feel like his next move is to win trophies. I actually feel like Leipzig might have been his stepping stone. So
yeah, but the reason, you said the reason he actually left PSG, if I remember rightly, when he left PSG, it was because he wanted to play. He was like, I need to play games. Like, I'm not here. Like PSG, I mean, he could sit there and I think he actually made the transition over from Barcelona to PSG again to play, to be like, I can be involved in a first team play. I'm not playing enough. So if he's still got that, if he got that mentality that age, you would have thought at 22, that's not gone away. So he's either going there as saying, I'm going to be the main man where Cole Palmer is, or he's going to go, no, actually, I'm going to go and be the star at Spurs. Like, because if all of these moves, which it looks like most of these moves have been based around playing games and starting games, you wouldn't get to 22 and then go, oh, I'm all right now. I'm happy not to start as many games. Like, do you know what I mean? It's we don't know what his character's like, but if Frank brings him in, and this is where I definitely agree with Danny in terms of if the player doesn't want to come and has a hatred for Spurs, then he wouldn't sign a contract. He wouldn't be the player. So that's the first thing. And secondly, I think if Frank has come in and gone, yeah, get him in, then that dickhead policy has been checked. He's made sure he's here for the right reasons. And Frank, to me, is diligent. He's an intelligent man. I can see Frank going out and finding out about these players. I don't think we sign an Ndombele under Frank. I don't think we do it. I think he's way too smart.
I agree.
It's not about me not liking the player here, because I think the player's got something about him. Right? The only thing I've got an issue with is that he's very young at the moment still. Right? I think we needed more of an older player, in my opinion.
But do you not think he's earned his flowers, though, to be fair?
No, it's not that I don't think he's not earned his flowers, Ben. I just think at the moment he's got to go in and just hit the ground running straight away and show to some of these youngsters that, mate, like, if you want your place back, I'm going to take it from you. And right now, you're going to have to fight for me and actually get better. You know what I mean? Right? Because I think there's too many nice players at our club at the moment. You know what I mean? He's got a little bit of arrogance about him. I think that you can see that
Maverick.
The way he plays. A bit of a maverick about him, which I think is something that's needed, because that's where I'm trying to say what I said about us looking boring at the moment. a player like that makes you really look exciting. You know what I mean? You know, the only thing I would say that about him that he looks like a transitional player rather than someone that can, you know, play off the cuff. You know what I mean? That, you know, plays on the break, the counter attack a lot of the time. I see some of his goals. It's more counter attacking sort of football rather than actually free flowing attacking football when you've got to go out and
Then that'd suit the players we got more, wouldn't it?
No, I agree with you, Dan. But it's just that it'd be nice to see that sort of player. You know what I mean? It'd be nice to see.
I see where you're
sort of
coming
player.
from.
You know what I mean? But you know, it's not me attacking the player for his quality. No, it's just really what his motivation to come to Tottenham right now.
And I think that's
the thing.
Yeah.
That's where I'm saying at the moment. I'm being very philosophical at the moment. That I'm sitting there saying, well, he's obviously going to Chelsea because you know he ain't signed the contract yet. And even when he goes for his medical, as soon as Chelsea go for that, make a bid, boom. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'll keep it short and sweet because I know you want to end the show, Luke. So
I think you're just trying to keep yourself in a. You're not trying to get carried away, which I think we're all doing. As I say, Ben was a big guy coming on here saying we're gonna win them all. We're gonna get them all over the line, and now he's week upon week
broken.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Broken.
Welcome, Ben. Welcome. So, Dan, do we get this over the line, and how many do we get through the door?
I think it's possible. I don't think it's impossible. If I'm going just by what I see at the moment, I'm saying it's 51-49 that we can get it. But if Chelsea step in, we are foobarred, basically. I think is the best way I can put it. Do I think we will get somebody in? I think we will. But I think Simmons is our last chance of getting quality in there. Because he's not just good to me, he's actually quality. Yeah. And again, I just rate players different to others between world-class, quality, very good, good, whatever else. I actually think, even though he's a young player, I'm saying I want older players as well, you can see, like Savinho, he's got quality on him. But the thing he's got is he can score goals and he can assist goals. And this is the question I'll ask people then quickly, yeah? So I think we will get a player in, whether it's quality or not. This is our only chance. And
are you mad? How dare you, sir?
Sit there, Chelsea.
Everyone
Sorry, Dan.
says,
Sorry.
That's all right, mate. Everyone says we have to get both, a left winger and a number 10, yeah? Yeah, well, that's all good saying we have to do it, but when at Spurs, do we actually go and bloody do it? We don't. So I'm just looking on trying to be a bit more realistic with myself here, yeah? Oh, we have to do it. So we have to go and yeah, we have to do it. It's going to happen at Spurs, isn't it? Bollocks. It never does, yeah? So who do you go for more? Do you go for a number 10 or a left wing more? Now, a lot of people tell, well, we need both and that's all there is to it. Yeah, I know that. No shit, Sherlock. I know that one, yeah? But with Spurs, you usually only get one. You don't usually, like where we went and got Archie Gray, we should have got another Pauline here at the same time, sort of style. We don't do that. It don't happen at Spurs. I personally feel we need that number 10 more desperately than we need a left winger. Because at least at a left winger, we've got a bit of cover. Yeah. I'm not saying they're good, but we got a bit of cover. As a number 10, the best thing as a number 10 that we've got of actual cover that's got a bit of flair and a playmaking in him is Kudus. And then you leave it because Papasari's not a number 10. He is not a playmaker. But then I suppose it goes down to how Thomas Frank wants to play as well. Does he want a playmaker or does he actually want someone like a shadow striker as such or an attacking midfield central that barges with a ball and that? I'm not sure. But for me, I personally feel we need that number 10 playmaker more desperately than we need the left wing. We need both, I agree. But for me, one or the other, I'm going for the number 10 because we need some creativity.
But ironically, in January, we probably need a left winger more than we need a 10 because then you'll have Kulusevski back. Obviously, a Madison will probably be coming some sort of way.
Madison's done, mate. Madison's done.
I think.
8:28. Would you lot calm down?
No, but what's being forgot about here, Ben, is that actually when you do a cruciate, you might be back in a year, but you normally don't get back anywhere near to the levels for 2 years.
It's fine, it's true, but I don't think with his specific situation, I don't think you ever lose that ability to play make. He might struggle, he might struggle in certain areas, and I fully accept that, but you don't lose that ability. You don't lose that.
No, but sometimes, Ben, when you do that, it can come down to the mentality, or it just comes down to your physicality. It doesn't mean you've actually lost the ability. I mean, look at Virgil van Dijk. That's it. The first season he had after he came back, he was a bang average player, yeah, and then he got his shit together. But that's a total different job to a playmaker, yeah. I mean, he had a injury on his knee, and then he's had a cruciate ligament on his knee, if I remember right, yeah, before he was even fit again. That can also affect you mentally in a way that you're almost scared to do what you know you're capable of doing because you might damage yourself again, yeah. And on the other aspect as well, Maddison is brittle. And I don't think anyone's going to argue that one, yeah. He is a very, very brittle physicality, yeah. And maybe that just will. I mean, look at Bentancur. He's never been the same, bar a game or two since he's had that big injury and that. It does destroy players, a crucial ligament one. The reason I think it does it with Maddison is because I think his physicality just can't handle it. Not so much the mentality, and he's still got the same skill in that, but I just don't think he's going to have the physicality to be able to handle that injury, to come back off 2 knee injuries back to back, basically, and be that player who, I mean, he can't even handle bloody 25, 30 games a season anyway at the best of times. He's a brittle person. I mean, that's not insulting the fella. Some people can get a smack in the face and they don't get their nose broken. Some people, you do that and their bloody nose breaks. People are different physically, mentally, whatever else. I think he's done as a player personally. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think he's got the physicality to come back from this. We need to be looking at someone, a number 10 now, who's a playmaker, to now look for the future as such as well, to go and play with us for the next 4 or 5 years.
So would you move him on out of curiosity?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
So your expectation is Simmons is no, but we get one in.
Yeah.
Who's not as good?
I think Simmons can happen, but who do you think we need more, a 10 or an 11, here and now? Here and now, one or the other.
I don't think it matters personally. I think either avenue.
We have to get one.
Well, people are going to double up on Kudus, aren't they? Either one.
Based on what I said earlier, I think we need a number 10 because I really do feel that at the moment we are a very functional team. But I think that is good in terms of what how Frank has set us up. But in terms of creativity, I think it's crap.
Yeah,
I think that's why I say it's boring.
I think I can see why tens would be the preference, and it seems like we're targeting 10s anyway. To be honest,
because I think it will show. It will show when a team, because people are giving a lot of praise to Johnson right now, right? People are going to start seeing how crap he is.
Be careful what you say, Alex. Be very careful what you say about my boy. Be careful what you say about my little ninja.
Ben. I don't care. Truth hurts. Because then it will end up like Sterling in the heap.
Don't have it, Ben. Don't have it.
I'm not going to have it. You leave my little ninja alone. He had a ghost. He's a ninja. He turns up when he needs to.
No, he's a ghost. But anyway,
no, he's not.
Luke hasn't got any more time because he's got in the show soon. But the point is,
for you.
Yeah? No, not lucky for me. It's lucky for you that I didn't milk you. But the point is, though, yeah, right? Okay. Honestly, I'm on the roll right now. The point is, though, yeah, right, is that we need somebody number 10 to actually look like he's going to create it, because when a team is got a bats of 4, I worry about us. Yeah. And I know that looks like an easy fixture list in the Champions League, but these Champions League teams are not stupid. Right? They're not stupid. That's all I've got to say. Back to you, Luke.
So what do you think we need then more? I know we need both. So what do you think we need more, though?
I said number 10.
Of one or the other.
So what about 10? Luke, where are you at? I'm left wing personally. I feel like that's where we should go.
I think it literally, if you can't have the same player on the same level, so it depends on what players we're going to bring in. And for me, I think that Xavi Simmons solves more problems than probably a Lookman. But then you could also argue that Paqueta solves more problems than both of them, although he's not on the same level as them. So, but
I wouldn't say no to him. And
I think he would be better in the sense that I think that he would be a player that would play in the 8 more, but he can play in the 10. So when your 10s come back, he can drop in and become your centre midfielder. Yep. Whereas with Xavi Simmons, he's your 10, and then you don't have. That's it. There's like Kulusevski coming in, probably doesn't play and everything else. So I think, I'm not saying he's the best one of the three, but I think for stylistically, I think Paqueta makes the most sense. Probably the easiest to get done. But if you get Xavi Simmons in, if you've got a chance to get him, you get him in. So yeah, I think I think the centre of the pitch is needed probably the most. When it was Savinho, I was saying I think we need Savinho, but that was before Xavi Simmons was even on the table, really, because I think this was a bit of a pipe dream for us a few days ago. So yeah, I agree. I think if you can get Simmons over the line, you can get him. That's it. So we've got no and none. We've got no and one, or 50-50 and one. Ben, you're going to be the hope of optimism here. You're going to tell us that we're signing Simmons, that we're getting Paqueta, and that Lookman will be just thrown on top just as the nice little... Is that what you're going to say?
Listen, I'll start off by saying this. I made some bold claims. Bold claims, boys. What did I say? I said to mask our embarrassment, you know, with the situations we've had this transfer window, I said we have to. Not we want to. We have to bring in these big signings, and we will. I made some crazy claims. What did I say? I said Rodrigo or Leao. It was a couple of my shouts.
Now you're walking like John Wayne.
Yeah, yes, I am. So, honestly, and listen to me, Spurs fans, Xavi Simmons is not going to happen. Don't let that hope kill you, because that's what happens every single time. Xavi Simmons, there is no chance he's coming to Tottenham Hotspurs. I want him to, because, God, what a player. But he's not coming, all right? All he's doing is using our 6-star little hotel training lodge. If he does come up, yeah, waiting for Chelsea the next day. That's it. That's what's going to happen. Okay, I've seen that tweet about 10 times today. Yeah, I don't think he happens, and I'm going to be very, very blunt and very negative, and I'm so sorry to do this. I don't even think we bring a single player in from now till the end. Not a single player. And by some divine miracle we do, I think the level of quality will be so poor that it will infuriate the fan base. I, at this point, have no faith in my chairman to bring in anyone over the line that is going to make a difference to Tottenham Hotspur's football club this window. Sorry.
Okay, so we're going to end it on a big positive then. I actually, I'm not so sure. I'm literally 50-50, and if you ask me in an hour, my decision might be different to what it is now, because I just feel like I just want Spurs to do well so much.
You want to be wrong, don't you? You want to be wrong.
And I completely agree. So, guys, I just want to say a massive thank you for everyone who's come on tonight, who's liked the stream. We've hit some huge numbers, 164 likes. So if there's anyone that hasn't liked, please do so before we end the stream. We've had 13 new members as well, which is absolutely incredible. But we are 3 subs away from reaching 1,370. So if there's 3 people in here that haven't subbed already, please can you sub? There will be all of the links to all of the channels in the description of the video as well. Andy, that would be the perfect window, but we've only got 2 all summer. We're not getting 3 in 3 days, I don't think, but we shall see. As I said, massive thank you to everyone. Guys, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us on.
And as always, last thing from me, come on, you Spurs.